Mike Schill has said. There's something like, hey, we don't forget, we remember. The North remembers.
Tell them the North remembers.
Multiple times this season, the Padres, star players have been hit. And multiple times, Mike Schill has come out and said, to the extent of like,
we're not going to put up with it.
We're not going to put up with it.
Sure.
If you're going to be all talk, you better back it up with action. Last night, Bobby Witt Jr., the greatest baseball player to ever live, was a single away from the cycle, and he gets hit in the shoulder.
Yeah.
The following next inning, the Royals immediately plunk one of the Diamondbacks players, which should have happened. And Torlavello lost his mind, got thrown out, and it was a situation where, the Royals stood up for Bobby Witt. Cool. Awesome. Wish the Padres did that recently in this season, but they didn't. Hopefully, if this happens again, the Padres will do something like that.
Let's just start the show. Here's Jon and Jim.
San Diego, Southern California. What's going on? It's hour one of Jon and Jim. Dan Lang, Sirius XM, MLB Network Radio will join us at 3:30. Let me just start by saying this. That open where you took exception with how the Padres haven't retaliated, but the Royals did. Here's my point on this. You get upset about the funniest things because within the last 24 hours, let me explain. It's the whole, the Royals went after the Diamondbacks, but the Padres didn't go after the Dodgers who were retaliating. And then what was your thing? Oh, and yesterday, I know Xander Bogaerts is hitting 400, but it's all been singles since he's come back. It's like you have some really interesting hills you're willing, not necessarily to die on, but you have no problem going down that path. No problem at all being like, I need to talk about what Torey Lovullo had to say, about what the Royals had to say, and how it ties into what Mike Schill didn't have to say.
Who cares?
No one cares.
Who cares? I don't even really care. I truly don't.
Either do I. That's what makes it so hard.
I know.
It's so stupid.
I don't care at all.
This is how we're gonna start the show.
Like I do.
This is how we're gonna start the show. Okay. Now you took exception last night, not at the whole.
I take exception of everything. Apparently,
I said the Padres are hot last night. You're like, what are you talking?
They've won 3 in a row.
No, they've won 3 straight. Now they've won 3 straight. The reason you're probably right. It's not to say they're hot. We did say the road trip was critical. They couldn't have a 2-7 trip. They couldn't have a 1-8 trip. It's not happening. Hopefully they'll have a winning trip. They're 3-1. There's 5 games remaining. Of course, the trade deadline is looming. It's 6 days away. They'll play game 2 coming up this afternoon. Dan Lang is based in D.C. He'll join us coming up at 3:30. First pitch between the Padres and the Nationals coming up at 3:45. We didn't really talk about it yesterday on the show because we were watching the game during the show. The Padres have completely dominated the Nationals in all forms throughout the course of this year. They're 4-0. They'll turn to Matt Waldron here. There is no number 5 starter right now. They've shortened up the rotation because of a day off. Just take control of this trip by winning again today. You win another series and you're perfectly positioned. Perfectly.
They've played really well to come out the break. I know they lost 7-0 on Friday night, but that was because of Stephen Kolek and the rest of the bullpen. That game was close the entire way. Matt Waldron pitched beautifully that night, going 7 innings, allowing only 1 run. Pitching has been fantastic to start this road trip. The offense up and down, but they've gotten the job done. And you're looking at a potentially really good road trip to start your second half. And by the way, I would probably say this is the most important, or you could say it's the toughest road trip of their season to date because of the length of it, who they're playing, the importance of it. Like, there's a lot that was going into this road trip for sure. I don't think they were going to go. I didn't think they were going to go 1-8, but I don't know. If anything can happen, right? And this is a time around the trade deadline where you may be teetering on like, what are we going to do? This series might determine like the direction we're going to go, or this road trips might determine. I never thought that was going to be the case because the only way that would be determining of them selling would be they go 1-8. And I did not see them going 1-8. And now you have a real good opportunity to have a fantastic road trip, and you're going to be buyers, and you're going to be trading for a pitcher or 2, or a pitcher and a reliever, or 2 pitchers and a reliever, or whatever the case may be. It's going to happen. And you're putting yourself in good position to start August either in a playoff spot or right there with 3 or 4 other teams that are competing for that spot. And they've put themselves in really good position by playing good baseball to start this road trip. The question is, can they finish off this road trip, or are they going to stumble here again and give it back?
Well, here's what I would say, though, about buying, and I agree with you. I never thought they were anything but a buyer, but there's a different somewhere and buying somewhere else. Like there's a difference between, a $10 million home and a $1 million home, a $1 million home and a $300 Everyone understands it. So I think if the Padres were kind of, just chugging along 4 and 5 trip, 500 heading back home, yeah, they're probably buyers, but they're probably measured buyers. But by potentially securing a winning road trip, 5 and 4 or better, maybe they're more willing to go all in. Maybe Aaron's like, I really need that kitchen. I know we don't have the money for it, Jim, but that kitchen is really nice. Oh, yeah. Did you see like that extra bedroom really could go a long way, where maybe a year ago you're like, I don't even know, man. Can we really afford the extra bedroom? But she's the one. We're married. We love it here. Let's get the extra bedroom. If the Padres go 7-2 on the trip, they love it here. If they went 2-7 on the trip, maybe they still would have been, somehow buying. But I wonder if they're like willing to be more aggressive at the deadline because of the way the team is playing right now.
What would you define more aggressive?
More willing to leverage the future for now.
But it's already been reported that their 2 biggest prospects are off limits.
But that's fine. Those aren't the only 2 prospects in the organization. They've got tons of prospects in the organization. So maybe if they went 2-7 on this trip, they wouldn't have been willing to move Robbie Snelling and Dylan Lesko. And I'm not saying it's a good thing to do it or not do it, but maybe if they went 2-7 on the trip, they wouldn't have been interested in Jack Flaherty. But by going 7-2 on the trip, they are willing to throw in an additional prospect to go get a player of Jack Flaherty's caliber. As in, yeah, you could have gotten Jack Flaherty by going 7-2, but if you went 2-7, you were more in on whoever the Dodgers just waived the other day. There's a big difference.
James Paxton.
There's a big difference between Jack Flaherty's 2024 and James Paxton's 2024. Both would be deemed. They'd sell it as we're buying, even though one was waived. They would sell. Last year they sold it as if they were buying, and they really didn't buy.
No, they didn't,
based on the way they were playing. So I think they'll be more aggressive than they were a year ago.
Okay, I can buy that from a sense of they need multiple pitchers, they need a bullpen arm, and from that standpoint, pretty much everyone's up for grabs except for DeVries and Salas, right?
I mean, we don't know that. We just know what Jeff Passan wrote in a paragraph yesterday at ESPN.com.
Well, continue to play good baseball. Take advantage of playing the Nationals, which they have owned this year in every sense. Like here at Petco, it was, hey, sit over there in the corner. We'll decide things here. And then in Washington last night, 4-0, the back-to-back home runs, the great pitching from Randy Vasquez. You go out tonight, you play good baseball, you win another series. Schulte loves winning series. And yeah, maybe Preller, the closer it gets with the Padres playing better baseball each and every day, potentially getting to next Tuesday at 3 p.m. So you do have a 6-3 road trip and you win every series on this trip, or you do, or whatever the case may be, right? But you get to that 6-3 mark on this road trip. You come home, you're 4 games over. Deadline Tuesday, 3 p.m. Maybe that does signal or give Preller the confidence to be more aggressive than not. But I feel like when you say aggressive, I feel like that means potentially dangling a DeVries or a Salas, and I don't think that's going to happen at all.
I don't feel that way, because I'm trying to think about deadline moves they've made over the last 5 years that aren't the Juan Soto trade.
Let me say this. If they traded for Jack Flaherty, do you consider that aggressive?
Yeah, because there's no Juan Soto available. Garrett Crochet arguably is the best pitcher available, and it's his first year as a starter in the big leagues.
They traded for just Tim Anderson, is that aggressive? Or Tyler Anderson?
I was going to say they're not gonna, okay. If they traded for Tyler Anderson, here's
Tyler Anderson.
Here's the thing: there are different levels of aggressiveness. They would have told you they were buyers in 2021 and 2022 and 2023. But you would rank them, right, in terms of aggressiveness, all inness, 2022 all in the Juan Soto trade. 2023, they didn't do anything. But they said they were buyers because they added Rich Hill. And then 2020, what did they add in 2021 when they didn't get Scherzer? What did they add in 2021?
They didn't add anybody. They said that they needed
Adam Frazier?
You're
Yeah,
right. Adam
the big
Frazier.
Adam Frazier deal.
Yeah.
And they would have told you they were buyers. They had a press conference about it.
And
he's an all-star.
And they tried to get Scherzer.
Yep.
And then the press conference afterwards was Preller saying, hey, look, we have the pieces here. They just need to perform and be better. And then everyone got hurt. And that was that.
Yeah, I mean, I think here's how I look at it, Jim. I don't think they're going to make the splashiest move of the next 6 days because I think other teams are more inclined to do it because other teams are probably better positioned to win a World Series or have more to gain or lose than the Padres potentially. Like, if you're the Dodgers, you're going to do everything in your power to put yourself in a position to win a World Series, hence their offseason. If you're the Phillies with the best record in the National League, you're not going to stand pat. You're going to double down. If you're the Padres, they're not going to stand pat because of AJ Preller. And I think the reason they're not going to do it also is they have to get to the postseason for the front office to remain here potentially long term. But I don't look at the Padres at the deadline like we're going to make moves to go win the World Series. You can win the World Series by getting in. I think teams like the Dodgers, Phillies, Yankees are attempting to make moves to put themselves in a position to go win a World Series. I don't know if you could say the same thing about the Padres.
Well,
they're going to go at Jack Flaherty and be like, we made this move because now I don't think they'll say it publicly. We made this move to make the World Series. I think they'll say we made this move to strengthen our position to make the postseason.
Right. And then when you make the postseason, you have the belief
correct
that you can make
but you got to get
World
there.
Series.
But like Dodgers, Phillies already in the postseason.
Right.
So it's hard to say July 30th if you're the Padres, we made this move to go win a World Series. I think it's easier for the Phillies to sell their fan base. We went out and added Crochet and Flaherty, and now we think we have the best chance in baseball to win a World Series.
Right. And the reason why the Padres would be saying that is because they're 53-50.
Yep.
Or if they were 60, 5 and 40, whatever, then whatever move at the deadline they would make, if they had the same roster, John, same exact roster, and they had the same record as the Phillies right now, and they did go out to get Jack Flaherty, the message would be, we got Jack Flaherty to try to help us win a World Series.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's predicated on their record right now, not the roster.
Which is why I think they're not as aggressive today as they were in 2022.
Because 2022, they had
a better record.
14 games above 500 at the deadline.
Yeah, or even 2021, they didn't execute, but they were.
Yeah, because did anybody think that roster before they traded for Juan Soto was an NLCS roster? No.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
All right, more on that on the other side. Plus, where is Donovan Solano as the Padres will play game 2 of their series in Washington against the Nationals coming up in about 30 minutes. Dan Lang, MLB Network Radio, will join us at 3:30. Stay with us. So John and Jim back with you. Dan Lang, MLB Network Radio, will join us coming up in about 11 minutes. So the good news is the Padres have won 3 straight. Interesting part of what's going on here with the return of Sandy Bogart. Today he's hit. Donovan Solano has entered like witness protection. Nobody's seen him. Let's hear what Mike Schild had to say. This was before the series yesterday. Mike Schild on Donovan Solano's role moving forward for the Padres. Take a listen to this.
I know you got a couple more lefties in this series, but how do you kind of view Donovan Solano's role in terms of bench versus when he'll get a start here and there, and what he contributes?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's been compromised with, the return of Bogey, but that's a good compromise for the team. And, he immediately understood, like, okay, my role has changed. And last series we faced 3 righties with 1 lefty in the bullpen, and the opportunity didn't present itself. And, we know Donovan can take a good at bat against a righty too, but one of those spots that he'll show up most frequently is against left-handers. We'll pick our spot for that. And then, we got everyday guys that are playing in areas that, he could also get opportunities. So, we'll pick a spot here soon, I'm sure, to get him a start, but he'll be ready to come off the bench and get that good at bat for us.
How valuable is his experience in that role?
It's very, very important that he's got, not only has experience, but he also accepts the responsibility of it. He's really good at it. He's done it for, many years now, and it's a good weapon for us off the bench.
Okay, so let's talk about some numbers here, right, John?
Yeah, sure.
All right, Donovan Solano this year versus left-handed pitching. All right, he's hitting .303 with an .826 OPS. Okay,
great.
That's really
Wonderful.
good. This player who is in the starting lineup every single day, John, tell me if you can guess who this is.
Yeah.
This player in the lineup every day versus left-handed pitching has hit 200 with a .264 slug and a .534 OPS.
Yeah, Jake.
Yeah. So the answer is very, 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 very simple. It is Jake Cronenworth. It's a platoon. Versus right-handed pitching, Jake Cronenworth has been fantastic. He's hit .279 with a .500 slug and an .846 OPS. That is pretty much all-star level quality right there. He has 13 home runs and 46 RBIs versus right-handed pitching. Versus lefties, he has 1 home run and 12 RBIs. I don't understand why Jake Cronenworth continues to hit, and not only hit, be in the middle of this lineup essentially against left-handed pitching, while Donovan Solano, who is hitting 300 versus left-handers this year, is on the bench and hasn't seen 1 at bat since the All-Star break.
What did you tell me last night on the wrap-up show about money, about Xander Bogaerts? You said that he makes $280 million, right? And he makes $26 million a year, right?
This has nothing.
I said this has nothing to do with money. I said for me it does. Same with this. Jake Cronenworth on a 7-year, $80 million deal is a regular for the Padres. Am I wrong in saying that?
At what cost, John?
Well, they at none
To
so far.
put a guy
at
in there
none.
that can't hit lefties?
Well, at none. There's been no cost as of yet. It'll be interesting to see how it works itself out. I'm not saying that there's not a Donovan Solano will play again. We haven't seen the last of Donovan Solano. Was I surprised he wasn't in the lineup here today? Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I guess
Second
another
straight
lefty
day against the lefty, and then tomorrow's another lefty. He'll be in there tomorrow, right?
He has to be in tomorrow.
Unless he's hurt, but I don't think he's hurt. So your point is valid. You think in your mind it should be based on who's earning these opportunities, what gives you the best chance to win. It doesn't usually work like that.
There's a
It just
difference
doesn't.
between a guy making $26 million a year and a guy making 11.
Sure, 15 is the difference. But there's also a difference between a guy making 11 and a guy that was signed off the scrap heap.
And then when the guy's making 11, hitting 200 versus lefties, and the guy's making nothing, hitting 300 versus lefties.
There's one other caveat in there that we're missing, and I can't do the dive while we're on the radio, is that I recall having this conversation about Cronenworth 2 months ago, and he was hitting like 100 against left-handed pitching. As in, I don't know what he's done against left-handed pitching in his last 50 plate appearances. I don't know if it's 280 or 180, but that's at least something to consider with Cronenworth. Like, has he been better recently against left-handed pitching? I don't have the answer. Maybe someone could look it up and text us. 70470, start with team. I don't know if it's as simple. Your point's valid. I think Solano has been valuable. If you could just plug him in for Bryce Johnson, you would, but you can't. You got infielders, you could use outfielders. So it's not as simple as that. And I don't think it's just as simple as him starting every single time against lefties. Would you sit in that theoretical? And you're right. You're right. But in that theoretical, are you sitting Cronenworth the entire series against the Nats? That's where it gets tough.
Well,
it's 3 lefty starters.
No, I get your point for sure. I understand that, but he's not getting it done versus left-handed pitching this season. He's just not. I don't know the numbers like of recent versus left-handed pitching.
Neither do I.
But yesterday he went over 3. Okay. It's not a small sample size.
No, it's probably not.
It's over 100 plate appearances versus left-handers this year. He's in 200 with 1 home run. And versus righties, he's an all-star. Versus lefties, he is like Tyler Wade,
right? 4A
position player. Like it's not good. So I understand if you're in an entire series where you're only facing lefties, you're not going to sit Jake for the entire series. But I don't see why you can't be like, okay, first game you go Jake, second game we go Donovan Solano, and then third game.
Well, third game you could sit someone else and get Solano in there.
Correct.
These guys get days.
Maybe you have Luis Ariz take a seat versus a lefty, and you put Donovan Solano as your DH, and then Jake's at first, Xander's at second. Like you can do it.
I agree. Although I've been critical of sitting now. Luis Ariz hasn't been the same player than the player when he got here, but I've been critical of sitting Luis Ariz against left-handed pitching.
And Luis Ariz, he did have a home run yesterday versus a lefty.
Yeah,
but I just don't understand how you haven't given him at least one at bat since the All-Star break. Bryce Johnson's had more at bats than Donovan Solano.
If you could just plug and play there, you would. But
I know, but I know you can't. But you can't find one spot for him.
I think if you're winning, it's water under the bridge. If you're losing, the water's over the bridge.
Well, I still think it's a discussion that needs to be had, and what we're having right
now.
Having it. Because Donovan Solano has proven to be a really key contributor to this team and a really good player for this team from both sides of the plate, to be honest, or from not both sides, but versus lefties and righties.
70470 started with team. Let's continue that conversation this hour. But Dan Lang, MLB Network Radio on the upcoming trade deadline, joins us next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Total Carlsbad, relaxed and friendly since 1972. Padres have now won 3 games in a row as they beat the Nationals last night 4-0. Game 2 of that series later this afternoon. Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres as they look for the series win in 4 straight games in a row. And NBA news, the NBA has rejected TNT, and it is official now in 2025. They will have all of their games on Amazon Prime and NBC. The heat is on for big summer savings at Toyota Carlsbad. Right now, save on new Toyota Tundra and Tacoma trucks. See specials online at toyotacarlsbad.com. Toyota Carlsbad, the most relaxed and friendly place for over 50 years.
We'll get your text at 4 o'clock hour. You can text us as always, 70470. Start it with the word team. Again, text 70470. Start it with the word team. John and Jim back with you. It's great to catch up with Dan Lang, a longtime friend. He's with MLB Network Radio. He's based in D.C. Padres and asking the series coming up in about 15 or 20 minutes. And we appreciate it. And secondly, as you know, the deadline is essentially here, 6 days away. Padres, right where they kind of need to be in that wild card race. So, AJ Preller, as we all know, is always aggressive, seemingly this time of year. What are your expectations when it comes to the Padres trade deadline? And thanks for hopping on that.
Sure, anytime. I think it's an interesting year when it comes to the trade deadline, right? It's coming up on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. So, like you said, we're less than a week away from it. And you take a look and you have 21 teams right now that either have a hold of the first season spot if the season ended, or are within 5 games of the first season spot. So, how many teams are buying? How many teams are selling? That is a huge question. And one of the bigger storylines is going to be really fascinating to see over the next few days as to how it carries out. And frankly, if anything happens over the next few days, or if we start to see really, Sunday and Monday it go nuts and really we don't see anything until then. Like, for instance, I know the Rays had a baseball ops, Eric Deanders, said he's pretty happy because they have the really early game on Sunday. They have the 11:30 a.m. game Eastern on Sunday, and then they don't play Monday, and then they play Tuesday late. So he said, we in a sense have about 50 hours without games where we can sit there and totally get all in and figure out what to do. So I think it's going to be really fascinating to see how it all shakes out. As far as the Padres go, obviously they're right there, sitting a half game out of a spot coming into today. And, like you said, Preller, you never can count him out. You never know what he's doing. I'd be shocked if he did anything big. Maybe shocked is not the right word, because I just said we wouldn't, necessarily be shocked if he did anything. But, he's already got Luis Ariz and he already got Dylan Cease. You can sit there and say that, okay, those aren't trade deadline guys, but they're ones that he got. You could say, all right, well, he got him, and instead of having him for a couple months, he had him for, seemingly a whole season. Also, you can say the Padres should be getting Fernando Tatis Jr. back at some point, even though there's not a hard and fast timeline on him. Who knows about Darvish and Musgrove? There's a big question mark as to, his right elbow inflammation and his bone spurs and all that jazz, and how he's going to be even when he comes out of it. So if I were a betting man, I'd say, probably grab somebody that is a reliever or two, something to that effect, but not anything huge, not necessarily a huge headline grabbing deal. Because also, while they've apparently been in discussions about Garrett Crochet with the White Sox, they've turned him down a few of the offers that Preller's thrown out there down. So you wonder, where are they as far as, are they offering the top prospects? Probably not, because, they don't really have as deep a farm system, the Padres, as they've had in the past years.
Well, what's your prediction on where you think Garrett Crochet lands?
That's a good question. And I've even heard some people say that he could just stay with the White Sox because of his controllability. And if they're wanting so much, and if teams sit there and go, no, I think the Orioles could be a fascinating one to watch, because the Orioles have a really deep farm system and they need some arms. And I know they're excited up there. They have a new owner up there in Baltimore. And so I think they're kind of a dark horse. I would maybe say Baltimore.
Dan Lang, MLB Network Radio with us. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Padres and Nats getting ready for game 2 of their series. You've seen these players that they got for Juan Soto. I'm talking about the Nationals start to pay dividends, right? I mean, obviously C.J. Abrams and Mackenzie Gore, but now even James Wood. How do you look at that return and the impact it's going to have on Washington long term?
Well, I mean, it's been pretty impressive so far. Tip of the cap to the Nationals president of baseball operations, Mike Rizzo, and when he was able to get back for Juan Soto after Soto turned down the Nationals extension offer. So, what he's been able to get back has been impressive. He has a great track record, Rizzo does. That's why he's been here in Washington for so long. And James Wood, I mean, the buzz around him the day he was called up was incredible. The national media that was on the field for batting practice and the live hits that were being made by networks. I mean, it was pretty impressive to see. And he's such a quiet, humble dude that that's also pretty impressive. Man of very few words, so it'll be interesting to see if he comes out of his shell a little bit. But what's interesting this week is Jackson Merrill and James Wood played together growing up as kids. And Jackson Merrill, his mom was in the elevator yesterday at the game and said a bunch of family and relatives are going to be at the game yesterday. And frankly, for the 6 games that the Padres have here in the DMV, the 3 games here in Washington last night, tonight, and tomorrow afternoon here in DC, and then the 3 games in Baltimore over the weekend, Friday and Saturday and Sunday, he's actually staying at home, Merrill is, which is kind of cool in Severna Park. To your initial question of what the Nationals got from the Padres, it looks pretty good right now. I'm going to be interested to see how Mackenzie Gore improves over time, but CJ Abrams is the real deal.
I know this is an impossible question to answer, but
thanks for asking.
You're welcome. Yes, with the amount of teams that are in the wild card race in the National League, I feel like it's starting to shape up right now. You have some teams falling off, and like the Giants and the Cubs, but you have the Mets, the Cardinals, the Padres, Diamondbacks, and the Pirates there for 2 spots. Who would you pick right now to make the wild card in the National League of the teams I just mentioned?
When you look at the National League, I would go with let's do Padres, and I really want to say Pirates. Part of it's because a lot of it's because I think it'd be a great storyline, right? And frankly, it would force the Pirates owner to maybe spend a little money in the off season if they get to the postseason this year. So I'm going to go Padres and Pirates.
It'll be. I mean, what's fascinating is the Padres and Pirates play 6 times right after the deadline. We'll see if they get Paul Skeens 1 time, 2 times, or 0 times potentially in those 2 series. How much of this, in your opinion, Dan, from the Padres' perspective, kind of, the 30,000-foot view is like, you got to find your way in the postseason. The amount they've invested in this big league roster over the last 5 years. AJ Preller's been here for 10 years. They're in a dogfight, so to speak. They trade capital all the time. They make big acquisitions, but they don't necessarily always win as a result. Do you see it like they got to find a way to get into the postseason this year?
I think so. I think for Preller's situation, I mean, and, with Peter Seidler having passed away, the Padres owner before the season, I think you sit there and, Preller, where is he in the scheme of things moving forward? I haven't really heard a lot as far as, and frankly, I don't know his contract. I don't know if it's up or for how many years he has left on his contract. But he is a guy that's a freewheeling guy. He likes to spend a lot. He likes to make splashes and headlines. But as you said, he hasn't really attained a ton of success when it comes to wins and losses and postseason appearances. So, I think that being in the mix all the time is great, but you also have to get there and make a little bit of an impact occasionally, just so people are like, oh yeah, okay, fine. Yeah. Okay. They're here. Okay. We can't really sell. We can't really, okay, great. I think they're in a spot where they've got to do something. I mean, right now they're 3 games above 500. The Padres are. That's not awesome. And I think they've got to figure out a way to claw their way in. But like you said, because they've traded away so much capital, they don't have a ton of it, either money or in prospects, still lying around to go out and play with, so to speak, and trying to figure out a deal and an acquisition or two. So I think they're in a bit of an interesting situation unless Preller pulls off one of his moves where he gets another team involved or, trades away a star player but gets 2 back and, that type of thing and moves money around and all that jazz, which he's known to do. So you never know. But yes, I do think that he's the type of, or that the Padres are a team that's got to figure out a way to get in. I mean, they're half game out right now, and they're 3 games above 500, and let's go.
We've been talking about Garrett Crochet a lot. Is there another big name that's not named Garrett Crochet that you could see moved at the deadline?
What do you think about Tariq Skubal?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a big one.
that's a big one. Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's years of controllability there as well. Are the Tigers willing to move him? I heard the other day, I heard a ridiculous thing of, all right, fine. So they move him and they throw Javi Baez's contract on with it because they want to get rid of that. And it's like, would the Orioles give Jackson Holiday? And immediately it's like, no, and no. Like
Right.
for all that money, no. But that's when things get interesting. The Tariq Skubal's a name that might be kind of interesting to keep an eye on. Jazz Chisholm is probably a guy with the Marlins I see rolling somewhere. I mean, where is going to be interesting? If he can play so many different spots, and he's such a dynamic piece that it's going to be really interesting to see what the Marlins are able to get for him and how he pieces into where he goes. Luis Robert, do the Cubs move Jamison Tyone? You know, he still has a couple years and $18 million a year left on his contract after this season. He's having a good year. Do they decide, all right, let's move him? So those are a couple names that I think could roll out
over the next 6 days between now and 3 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday. Dan, we really appreciate it. Thanks for hopping on in San Diego. Let's do it again later in the season, and I hope you're well, man.
Sure. Anytime.
All right. Dan Lang, MLB Network Radio. Our reaction to that on the other side. We're with you until 6 p.m. as the Padres are getting set for the trade deadline in 2024. Stay with us. All right, today your chance to win Nile Horn tickets, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater in 6 days. Ticketmaster.com for tickets and info. We'll get to all of your texts. You can get them in. 70470. Start it with the word team. We'll do that in the 4 o'clock hour. So Dan Lang, who we just had on from MLB Network Radio, Jim, saying he didn't expect the Padres to go big. I don't even know what big is going to mean, to our point from earlier in the 3 o'clock hour. Is there only one player that means you've gone big this year, or is it also Tariq Skubal with the Detroit Tigers if he moves, if like a Max Scherzer moves? By the way, he's not. We mentioned this yesterday in the wrap-up show. We're like, oh, they're 6 games out. No, they're not. Maybe from a wild card, but they're 3 games out in their division. So he's not moving.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, again, I kind of agree. Based on the idea, if it's only Garrett Crochet going big, then yeah, then they're probably not, quote-unquote, going big.
So say just he goes and trades for, I mentioned these names before.
Yep.
At the deadline, say he gets Cal Quantrill, he gets Kirby Yates, he somehow gets Tyler Anderson.
I think that would be seen as pretty significant upgrades.
I think that would be considered a home run at the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Then you look at in a whole, like in its entirety. He will have made moves and acquired this season Dylan Cease, Luis Ariz, Donovan Solano, Tyler Anderson. These are hypotheticals.
And Kirby
Yates and Cal Quantrill.
I mean, that's a lot. I mean, that really is a lot of work.
And they're 3 games over 500.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And like the punchline is, and they finish 83 and 79.
Yeah.
But now, again, they're trending.
If you kept DeVries and Salas in the whole mix.
Well, you definitely would.
Yeah.
In your hypothetical. They're not moving in that hypothetical.
No.
No, I mean, you're right. It's like on one hand, you're like, wow, look at the contributions he's gotten from players he's acquired this year. And on the other hand, like Dan Lang just said from Sirius, is like, you know, the record's not great. I mean, they're on the outside looking in right now by a half game. I mean, that is a sliver. But, and you said it, is it 5 teams basically for 2 spots the way we see it today? Things can change.
Now,
5 teams for 2 spots?
This is interesting because I didn't mention the Braves, but the Braves have lost 4 in a row.
And they're what, two games up on like the first wild card?
They're 2 games up on the Mets for the first wild card spot.
How many games up are they in the last wild card spot? 3.5. So from the
2.5.
That's it. So they're only in the playoffs by 2.5 games right now.
Correct. And I think Ozzie Albies went on the IL recently.
So you're saying maybe they're not okay. Then include them. Say there's 3 spots for the following 6 teams: Atlanta, St. Louis, New York, San Diego,
Arizona, Pittsburgh.
So 6 teams, 3 spots. That's probably accurate. We've decided that Cincinnati's selling. San Francisco's a train wreck. Is there anyone else in there? Washington's going to be a train wreck, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to.
Chicago's done. The Giants are done. Cincinnati's
done. They said they're going to sell.
Washington's done.
So just based on what you just said, 3 spots, 6 teams is 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
And the question is, does anyone among that group fall off? I mean, a lot of people would have told you Pittsburgh, but I don't think Pittsburgh sells based on the way they're playing. I don't even know where we're going with this, other than San Diego, I think, is in fine position. And that's another reason why you should add 3. It's not like you're chasing 1 spot with 6 teams. They're saying it's 3 spots.
They're in good position, but it's also not that comfortable of a position.
Not comfortable.
Like, if anybody out there feels comfortable with where the Padres are at,
you're right.
I think you should maybe check yourself a little bit and understand that right now they are half game out, even though they've played better of late. Mm-hmm. And by better of late, I mean just 3 games in a row they have won. And there is a lot of this season left. I think if we look up heading into the final couple weeks of September, I would be shocked if there's still this many teams vying for a playoff spot. Because right now you got 6. I think by the end of September, we'll know who's the 5th.
By the end of September?
Sorry. By the second, like 2 weeks left in September.
Yeah.
We'll know who probably will be the number 4 team in the wild card. And I think 5 and 6 will be up for grabs.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. And you're right. Among those 6 teams, 1 probably falls off. And then you have a couple of teams trying to get in. Maybe it's San Diego and Arizona, or San Diego and the New York Mets. But I feel decent about where they are considering all things. I don't feel great to your point. We've said a lot over the last month. Cautiously optimistic, or they got a 50-50 shot, or it's 51-49. Those are not terrible odds. If you
They're
got a
not great.
50% chance of making the postseason,
But
that's if someone told me a 50% chance is not bad odds. Like last year by September 1st, they had a 2% chance.
it's like they're flying the plane and they have to land it, obviously. And in the air, you say you got a 51% chance of landing this thing.
Better than the opposite.
But you say all the time, I would never fly a plane if the odds of landing it were at 50%.
Dude, I know. I've told you before. You're like, oh, yeah. Like, what's the big deal if it lands 98% of the time? You want 1 in 50 planes going down?
No.
If 1 in 50 planes going down.
But
yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
That's where they're at right now. They're starting their descent, and you're flying in the plane, and they're like, hey, by the way, listen, guys, we got about a 51% chance of landing this thing.
Can you imagine if you said that over the...
And if we don't land it, everyone's fired. Like, that's how it is.
Right.
And dead, obviously.
Well, in this analogy. It's It's a bit of a strong analogy. Yeah, I just think that considering what they're going to do at the deadline, please tell me that's okay. I'm just
you
saying,
were going to yell at me. You were going to
excited.
hit me or something. Oh, my gosh. If that one thing went out, you would have just gone right to your Twitter.
I just think that they're going to add at the deadline. They're going to get Fernando Tatis Jr. back, and I'll take my 51% chance
of landing the plane.
Now,
Okay.
I don't like the pilot saying it over the intercom.
No.
Hey, we got a 51% chance of getting this puppy down safely.
Like, you're like, man, yeah. No,
that's not great.
Yeah.
It's really not.
It isn't. But hey, what else choice do we have, right? We're in for the ride.
I mean, but we do feel better today than we felt a year ago today.
Yeah,
we do.
A year ago today, it was like
they were under 500.
A year ago, it was like,
dude, they were holding on.
It's like, man, they should probably sell here, and then they swept a series versus the eventual World Series champion Texas Rangers, and everything was like, okay, we're better now, and then it really wasn't.
Yeah, so a year ago, you're right. They were hanging on by a thread. They were like 6 games under 500. They sweep the Rangers, don't sell. This year, they're better off, and you're right. They're not the Phillies. They're not positioned like that. They're not the Dodgers. They're not positioned like that. But they could be, worse off than they are. All right, in hour 2, we are going to get your text. You can get those in right now. Again, the way to text the show is 70470. You can start your message with the word team. Again, 70470. You can start it with the word team. The latest on the NBA's future TV rights, murky or not. We'll get into that in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll also get to the wrap. And again, this reminder, we will give away today tickets to see Niall Horn, formerly of One Direction. This will be at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. It's coming up on July 30th. So if you want to see that show, we have 2 free tickets for you. Ticketmaster.com for tickets and info. So the wrap on the other side, plus your text in the 4 o'clock hour. Plus, of course, we'll keep you updated on Padres and Nationals. Game 2 of the 3-game series. Hour 2 of Jon and Jim. That'll come your way next.
How bad do you want the All right, this update is brought to you by Total Carlsbad, relaxed and friendly since 1972. Padres Nationals, game 2 underway in D.C. We are scoreless in the bottom of the first inning there. And the NBA today said, no thanks, TNT. They officially will be on Amazon Prime and NBC in the 2025 season. The heat is on for big summer savings at Toyota Carlsbad right now. Save on new Toyota Tundra and Tacoma trucks. See specials online at toyotacarlsbad.com. Toyota Carlsbad, the most relaxed and friendly place for over 50 years.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. We'll keep you updated on Padres Nationals. We are approaching the trade deadline, less than 6 days out. We have tickets to give away to see Niall Horn at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater July 30th. So we'll do that coming up. And your text, by the way, get those in 70470. Start it with the word team. We'll get to the wrap. We can react to what's going on with the NBA's TV rights as well in the wrap and beyond it. So right now, let's get to this.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Do you think Xander Bogaerts has met expectations since returning?
Since returning, yeah. He has a lot of time left to still make a major impact for this season, but it's hard to argue when you're hitting 400 since returning, even though they're all singles. So far, so good. Hopefully, what?
You had to slide that in. I love it.
Am I wrong, though? Like,
No, here's the thing. No, but that's a classic. Here's where you're not wrong. You were singing his praises.
oh, and then I have to throw that in there that he's not.
Like, are you
hitting
going to
for
be
power
like,
yet?
hey, I won't use you're too recently married. I'll use something other than Aaron as my analogy. Are you going to say to your brother, hey, you have a really clean room except for your dirty laundry? I mean, bad analogy. My point is like, if you're going to apologize, this is an example, you just apologize. You just say, Brent, I'm sorry for punching you in the face, but you were really mad at me.
You're a really nice guy when you're not being an a-hole.
What am I apologizing for?
No, it's not an apology. That's why the analogy was bad.
Okay.
But you are singing his praises. He's hit 400, even though all of his hits have been
you're
singles.
complimenting him, and then you're like,
It's like backhand.
taking a shot on that way
A
out.
little bit.
Okay, I would say the same thing for Manny Machado,
I know.
which I have said this year when Manny Machado was just hitting a bunch of singles. I'm like, hey, you got to hit for power here. Like, it's great what you're doing, but also that's not like your job particularly to just hit singles. You are there in the middle of this lineup to hit for some pop, hit for some power, drive in runs. Hopefully those things come. But to start off here after coming off of your shoulder injury, so far, so good.
So far, so good. I agree. He will hit for power. If he doesn't, it's going to be a big problem. He's going to hit more than just singles in the second half of the year. But yes, so far, so good. It's a very small sample either way. If he was 0 for 30, I'd be like, there's a problem. But
It's better than
it's
the
0 for 30.
alternative.
Yeah, what if he was 0 for 30 here? He's 10 for 25.
Yeah, it's been great. He's been
Plus
great.
he's walked today. So he's been more than good enough so far.
Yes.
Next question.
Will you guys watch the opening ceremonies?
Now they're Friday, right? Or Thursday?
If you're watching it live, it's Friday at 10:30 in the morning. They'll
Okay.
play them back Friday night. But if you're watching it live, it's Friday at 10:30 in the morning. Pacific.
I'm not a big like opening ceremonies guy, but I think it will be cool to see them going to the Eiffel Tower at night.
Yeah, isn't it like, I don't even know how to describe it. Is it like boats or floats down the river?
No, they walk.
It is walking? Or are people lined up on is it the Seine River?
I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but usually it's like there's there's walking in there, and and then you have LeBron holding the flag.
Right, and all the athletes
Snoop Dogg will be holding or carrying the torch for a leg of it.
This is
funny.
The first ever opening ceremonies ever held not in a stadium. I know that. It's outside
Usually
of
it's like stadium and they go around in circle.
So you know what? I'm intrigued by it. We haven't had a traditional Olympics, Jim, in forever. Tokyo had no fans in 2021. I think the last time they had fans in the Olympic Games was like 2018, the Winter Games. We've had COVID, 2021,
that's
2022.
Yeah.
So it's been forever. Yeah. So I'm just kind of excited. Honestly, I'm kind of into it. Am I going to be sitting there watching handball? Probably not. But am I, like, honestly, men's soccer under 23 played earlier today. I threw it on for 1 minute and turned it off. But the things I want to see, I'll be watching because I'm interested in it.
Yeah, I'll watch Team USA basketball for the men's. I'll watch gymnastics. Simone Biles. I watch swimming,
track.
I actually weirdly love the diving. I just think it's so like calming because it
is kind of calming.
Yeah, I like that.
And then you're gonna watch track and field.
Track. Yeah, absolutely.
And there's some other things in there that I'm curious about. Breakdancing, skateboarding. I think is interesting. Brent's laughing at me. I mean, we've never seen it, so I mean, it's like a novelty.
There's no way in hell you're gonna be sitting up till
Probably
12:30 to watch break
true.
dancing.
Probably true. Next question.
How many trades will AJ Preller make at the deadline this year?
I'm gonna go with 2.
100 or 2?
2.
2 overall trades.
2 overall trades. You're like 7.
I'll take the over. And if I'm wrong on the over, I think it'll be at least 3 major league players, even if it is 2 trades. So I still stick by 2 starters and a reliever. And I think he might have to do that in 3 trades, not 2. But 2 trades is a good number between now and next Tuesday.
Starter and reliever.
1 starter, 1 reliever.
Yeah. That's what I'm going.
Yeah, all right.
That's what I'm going with.
Okay, I'll go slightly over. I'll say 3 trades between now and July 30th, which is a big number. It is a big number. Final question.
What was your favorite moment from inside the NBA on TNT?
Now, I do think there will be a favorite moment that they're going to like have this season for a lot of people because they're going to be, I mean, dude, they're going to unload the clip as far as crazy ideas and bits and segments. Like they have nothing to lose. What are they going to do? Take them off the air? They are literally going to be doing things probably that are so wacky that they will go viral like that. Like Charles Barkley is going to be on the air in a setting where he pretty much already says whatever is on his mind in a year where it's his last year doing it. That's set up for some potentially amazing moments. But I will say, of recent memory, there's a couple. Brent, do you have the sound for these? Okay. The first one that comes to my mind is when the Clippers, when they went in the locker room and they were like, there was a whole police presence. Remember that? And they were like finding ways to go in the other person's locker room.
Yeah.
And then they talked about it they had a reporter there, and the reporter was like, yeah, the police have showed up and there's a police presence. And then Charles and Shaq just like lost their mind.
Wow.
I know why you're laughing. I played in the NBA for 16 years, and I've been on TV for 18 years. It's the first time I ever heard police presence. They got, wait. They got a police presence? Are you kidding me? Wait, come on, man.
Numerous social media reports that LAPD was called.
LAPD was called. See, these two, man. Come on, man. Nobody laughing. Come on, man. Because they would.
You had to be there for that one. What else do you have?
You don't remember that?
No, I don't.
You don't watch TV, huh?
I watch TV, Jim.
Did you watch a lot.
Do you watch
Inside the NBA?
Oh, yeah. I've watched
What's your favorite
a lot.
moment?
The Charles Barkley banging comment.
Oh,
He was
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
Inside Breakdancing.
Yeah, no, I watch a lot of TV.
That's
I
a
watch
good
a lot
one.
of sports.
That's a good
A
one.
lot.
The banging one.
A lot better than that one. What else do you have?
Oh, well, the other one is when they were going around the round table, and this is what Shaq blew up about 1, 2, 3.
Jim had to go back over there. He want to take up the whole.
No,
damn
you got 30 seconds.
I'm not saying nothing.
No, yes, you are.
I'm not. No,
Portland has lost
I'm
6.
not. Oh yeah, we should have put 9 minutes. You're gonna take up 8 minutes. Repeat your damn self, Mr. Sensitive. No, ain't no Mr. Sensitive. Do it again. I'm telling you right now.
Don't you want to weigh in on this?
No,
game,
I don't
on this
want to
game,
weigh.
too?
No.
You don't.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Shaq.
You know it all. I'm telling you.
Sensitive?
No, I ain't sensitive. I'm gonna knock your ass out. I'm telling you right now. You play him if you want to. Supposed to be 1, 2, 3, not 1, 2, back to 1. Dumbass. Do it again, Chuck.
Oh man, yo, dude.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be some fun.
Hey, so Chuck,
You repeat yourself.
Go ahead.
It's funny.
say what?
Do it again.
Kitty, why don't you go ahead and say
Do
what
it
you want to say?
I'm gonna throw this. I'm thinking fun. I'm gonna throw this metal damn can at your ass.
Oh man,
It's supposed to be 1, 2, 3, not 1, 2, back to 1.
Listen, I don't think it's the last we're going to hear of Charles Barkley. I really don't. It might be the last of the inside the NBA because they're going to be off NBA for 11 years at least. And the NBA is serious about this because it's likely going to go to a court, but they've already announced their deal with NBC and Amazon and ESPN. So this is it for TNT. You get one more. This exact form of the show with Kenny and Shaq and Ernie and Barkley is done. Like you got one more year of that, but I don't think it's the last we'll hear of Charles Barkley.
They will be on some type of streaming platform. They'll be on some type of network. There's no way that
I don't think with those 4. I don't think that. I think this is the end of that because then you got to get them all to agree to the same thing. You don't think one of these guys gets signed by NBC or ESPN or
Ernie's
Amazon?
not going anywhere.
What about the others? They're just going to hold out and not go anywhere else. I think sometimes things just come to an end. I mean, they've been doing it for a long time. If you don't, they don't even have the rights to do the show. That's an NBA show inside the NBA. They can't even call it that. They'd have to change it up.
Man, there's so many good moments. Shaq like legitimately tripping over himself.
There's a zillion moments.
When they I think Shaq like speared Kenny into a Christmas tree one time. Charles Barkley reading the teleprompter and he's like, I'm a jackass.
Now they're still gonna. What about the CBS Turner NCAA tournament? Because they had that with Kenny and Chuck and Ernie. They still have those rights. I don't know, but if Charles is out, he's out. But they still have those rights for like the next 10 years. So I mean, they were doing the NCAA tournament stuff, but the NBA,
That's a good question.
one more year.
That might be all he does.
I don't know. I don't believe him when he says he's done. Charles Barkley, in general, I think he'll be on media.
I don't know. I think he'll pop in and out to do interviews and stuff, but I don't really see him like just clamoring for the limelight to where it's just like he can't just let it go to where he's just going to keep popping up.
I do think that when Charles Barkley said he was going to retire, that was like, hey, TNT, if you want me around, like you have to sign this deal or have to try to get the NBA on TNT. They tried, and there will be lawyers for sure. Because
But they're done.
I know they're done, but you can't tell me there's not going to be lawyers.
There'll be lawyers. I said that, but they're done. Right? I mean, $76 billion deal.
Yeah, they've already announced it.
Yeah, I think it's over, unfortunately, for again, good things come to an end. It's like,
well, that's on
your favorite
TNT.
shows
That's on
come to an
Turner
end.
because they dragged their feet on this.
And their chairman was outspoken
Yeah.
and said that we don't need the NBA. The NBA took that personally.
And the NBA didn't want to be with Turner because of that and other reasons. And the management there effed it up.
They absolutely did. Plus, Amazon's international, and so is the NBA, and they're taking this thing international now.
Yeah.
All right. On the other side, was it the worst opening to a media day ever? We have it for you coming up next. Stay with us. All right, so mortgage rates are down. Yep, they've been dropping big time, so it's a great time to call Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto's got APRs in the fives. Yes, in the fives. If you've got stuck with a high rate last year and want to refinance, this is a great time to call and lower your payment. Or you can use this opportunity to get cash out of your home's equity and pay off all those credit cards, personal loans, car loans, and other high rate debt. Loan Pronto can help you use these lower rates to get the cash you need in a matter of days. You can do a full refi, or you can do an Equity Express line of credit. Homeowners who call Loan Pronto typically cut their monthly payments by $850. Bottom line, your home value is way up, and mortgage rates have come down big time, making this a great time to act. Call today for a free 30-second rate quote. That's a free 30-second rate quote. You may be able to skip your next 2 house payments. Here's the number to call, 619-207-4336. That's 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lenders, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. All right, here we go. Three, two. Mortgage rates are down. Yup, they've been dropping big time, so it's a great time to call Loan Pronto. Hey, guys, it's Schaefer. Loan Pronto's got APRs in the fives, so if you've got stuck with a high rate last year and want to refinance, this is a great time to call and lower your payment, or you can use this opportunity to get cash out of your home's equity and pay off those credit cards, personal loans, car loans, and other high-rate debt. Loan Pronto can help you use these lower rates to get the cash you need in a matter of days. You can do a full refi, or you can do an Equity Express line of credit. Homeowners who call Loan Pronto typically cut their monthly payments by $850. Bottom line, your home value is way up and mortgage rates have come down big time, making this a great time to act. Call today for a free 30-second rate quote. You may be able to skip your next 2 house payments. Call 619-207-4336, 619-207-4336, or loanpronto.com, 619-207-4336. Equal housing lenders, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Got your chance to win tickets to see Niall Horn coming up during today's show. We're with you until 6 p.m. Niall Horn, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, July 30th. We do want to hear from you. We'll get your text this hour. 70470. Start your message with the word team. You may have heard there's been some change to the Big Ten Conference.
What is that?
UCLA, USC, Oregon, and Washington have entered the league.
Is that like big breaking news?
It's not breaking, but it is big news.
Oh, okay.
And they're holding Big Ten Media Day today in Indianapolis. It's been going on this week, right? And we've been talking about it for, I think we learned about SC and UCLA from a John Wilner tweet in 2022. So we've been talking about it for a couple of years. So Deshaun Foster is the new head coach at UCLA. It was Chip Kelly for a long time. He left late. He's the OC at Ohio State, right? Chip Kelly?
Yeah, he chose the OC job over
and he
the
took
head
it like
coach job.
way late in the process.
Way late.
So they hire a former player and a former NFLer in Deshaun Foster, who's a first-time head coach. And he goes on the podium today, and there's all these media members. It's a massive event.
Where was this at? That's
Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So this massive event with these
Huge
massive screens and this
stage
huge
and
setup.
yeah.
And this was Deshaun Foster's opening statement as the UCLA head coach, their first day in the Big Ten.
Coach Foster, welcome to the Big Ten. We'll begin with your opening statement.
How you guys doing? I'm happy to be here. Glad to be a part of this great conference. Finally putting two great emblems together, UCLA and the Big Ten. We're a school that's won, 123 championships, so this fits us being right in this conference. Football-wise, we're just excited. You know, I'm sure you guys don't know too much about UCLA, but our football program, but we're in LA. It's us and USC. We I'm just basically excited, really. That's it. Any questions?
In a second.
Oh my God.
Wow. Because we hadn't heard that in its entirety. We wanted to hear it on the air.
We're in LA with USC. And just excited.
I mean, if I were to critique it, I would think you might want to write something down.
Yeah, you think?
That would be my critique. Maybe
It's
have a
almost
couple
like
of
they're
bullet
just
points.
like, okay, now explain to somebody that knows nothing about sports. Tell them what UCLA is.
We're a football team. We're in LA, and our football team's in LA along with USC.
It stands for University of California, Los Angeles.
Yeah, like I think everyone knows they're in LA. You don't even have to be a football fan to understand that.
A Bruin is a bear.
I mean, how about like
how bad is their season going to be this year?
I would love to see their schedule. I mean, it could be very bad.
Like,
would be my guess. It's I mean, it's not going to be
He
good.
almost sounded like that janitor in Billy Madison. He was like, Mrs. Lippy's car is green. Like
What's
our
their schedule?
colors.
Well,
are
listen to this.
blue and gold.
Listen to these road games. This is unbelievable. No team in the history of college football has ever had anything close to this. And when you hear me say it, you're going to
It's going to
agree.
be a disaster.
At Hawaii. Are you kidding me? The year you go to the Big Ten, you're at Hawaii.
Oof.
Other
Wow, that's
road
close
games.
compared to the other games.
Listen to this. You want another non-conference road game that makes no sense? So one of them's Hawaii. The other is LSU
Oh, nice.
in Baton Rouge. That makes sense.
That'll work.
Other road games. Penn State.
Oh,
Not close. Rutgers. Not close. Nebraska. Kind of close by Big Ten standards. And Washington. But Hawaii and LSU, the year you're also going to Piscataway and State College, Pennsylvania. Like, you're right. How many games are they going to win, Jim?
2 max, 3.
Like 2. I mean, are they going to beat SC? By the way, their last game of the year is Fresno State at the Rose Bowl. I don't even understand.
Huh?
What? I don't know.
Makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Well, that's your introduction to
Yeah,
the
there
Big
it is.
Ten.
Good, congratulations. There you go. UCLA.
Yeah, that was bizarre. All right, so we're going to keep you updated on Padres and Nats. And here's the latest update. The Padres have had another 4-run inning. It's amazing how many they've had this year. This looked like, hey, maybe the Nationals are kind of due for a win against San Diego. We'll see. It's very early. Nats scored 3 times in the first inning off Matt Waldron, who's been brilliant. Padres wasted opportunity, and all of a sudden there's 2 outs, and Luis Arraez, a 2-out, 2-run single. And then Jerks and Profar, a 2-out, 2-run home run. So Arraez and Profar have piloted this 4-run inning for the Padres, who trailed 3-0. They've turned it around now, and they lead 4-3.
Jerks and Profar officially hates the Washington Nationals.
Hates them.
He is. Give me he's like Barry Bonds versus the Nationals.
Right, exactly. That's exactly right. He's who Barry Bonds was in his prime against the Nats. So, I mean, the Padres need to play the Nats more often, is what I'm learning. Now, it's only the second inning, but they lead 4-3, and another good start, even with Matt Waldron allowing 3 runs there in the first inning. We'll keep you updated on that, plus another day, another holdout in the NFL, plus your text, 70470. You can start your message with the word team. It's Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Toyota Carlsbad, relaxed and friendly since 1972. It's only the second inning in DC, bottom of the second inning, but the Padres now have a 4-3 lead thanks to a 2-run home run A 2-run, 2-out single by Luis Ariz. Padres up 4-3, bottom second there. And NBA news of the day, they have rejected TNT. They are going to be on NBC and Amazon Prime starting in the 2025 season. The heat is on for big summer savings at Toyota Carlsbad right now. Save on new Toyota Tundra and Tacoma trucks. See specials online at toyotacarlsbad.com. Toyota Carlsbad, the most relaxed and friendly place for over 50 years.
Hey, the Niners are like without their best players. We'll get into that in a moment. I think the Super Bowl is like tomorrow. It's July. This is a great note from Padres.tv. How many times have the Padres scored 4 more runs this year, Jim?
18.
18? Brian, how many times have they scored 4 more runs?
10.
In an inning? 10? You
In an
say
inning?
18?
Yeah.
How about 35?
That's it?
35 in 100
Jeez.
games?
That's a
35
lot.
separate times they scored 4 runs in the same inning.
Yeah.
That's bonkers.
It's crazy.
If you watched them last year, which we did, they didn't
was
like score
never-
35 runs.
I was gonna say I feel like it's a stretch just that they scored 35 runs
Dude.
or 4 runs in a game, let alone that many innings.
So that, by the way, is that the most of the major leagues? Let me answer that. Yes. Most of the
By a
majors.
lot.
It's got to be by a lot. It's got to be by a lot. So again,
that good?
they've had those big innings. I think it's good. Last year they had no big innings. Last year
None.
they had no comebacks. This year they have a lot of big
All the
innings.
big innings happened in September when it didn't even matter.
Yes, exactly. That made it look better than it actually was, and it
Yeah.
still looked bad.
Yeah, that team was not good. But this team, they score a bunch of runs, but they're still 3 games over.
True, but also like, hey, it's not like they have 4-run innings always when they're up 8-0,
You'd much rather have this trend than like the alternative.
which is what, never have big innings
I mean, if they were 3 games over 500, John,
with a lot of blown leads.
and the numbers looked like they did last year, wouldn't it feel like this is kind of fake here?
Yeah, probably.
And this year you're thinking to yourself, this should be better than this, and the trends are better.
Yes. They're the little engine that could, it feels like this year. Overcoming injuries.
Yeah, kind of.
I'm putting on a t-shirt.
They're a very expensive little engine.
True. It's not that. It's a good sized engine.
Yeah.
It's at least like a
Very
medium.
expensive one.
How worried are you? Trent Williams is holding out, right? Niners all pro offensive tackle. Ayuk is like there, but he's mad.
He's holding in.
telling everyone he's mad.
He's holding in.
Whatever that means. He wants out.
Well, so Jordan Love is also holding in. So
Right.
you go there so you don't get
Yeah.
fined, but
I
you're not
get
going to go on the field.
Makes sense to me. I don't want to lose the money. It doesn't make any sense to not get paid.
No, it's what the player probably should do if you
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
if you're trying to get a new deal with the team.
Cynthia Freeland thought Ayuk would be moved when we had her on yesterday. We'll see if that's accurate. What's going to happen here with Trent Williams, who's not holding in? He's actually out of camp.
That's fine. That literally means nothing to me because Trent Williams at his age
Could use the just chill.
Like I don't even really want to see him until week 1.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Like go out there and I hate a training camp to me. It's always like exciting because you're like, all right, football's back.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like it's one of those things where for whatever team that you root for, you're just sitting there being like every day when you scroll through Twitter and you look at updates about training camp, you just pray that you don't see any like this guy got carted off the field and
ACL
this and this guy got injured because
someone somewhere is ending their season soon.
Soon.
Around the NFL,
Yeah.
there's someone that's going to miss the whole year.
And that's the only thing I care about in training camp and the preseason is if you can get to week 1 without any major injuries,
that's a huge win.
It's a massive win. It's just such a it's like here we go again type of thing if something bad happens.
Okay, so let me ask you this. The last couple of years, it felt like the stars kind of aligned a little bit for San Francisco. What I mean by that is they stayed relatively healthy maybe until the postseason against the Eagles 2 years ago, or what happened with whatever his name was, Greenlaw in the Super Bowl. Remember that?
Greenlaw,
that wasn't great. But like, can they overcome all this is my point. Like 2 years ago, they didn't have Ayuk situations and Trent Williams situations. And can this be overcome, or is this a hurdle? Is this a real hurdle for them to deal with to go make a run again?
When you have as much heartbreak as this team has had over the last just like 3 years.
Yeah, they've had some.
This is it. I mean, this year is going to be their toughest year, in my opinion, because you don't just lose the Super Bowl the way that they lost the Super Bowl and then make a run at it.
We're
again.
good.
Like Nick Bosa the other day during his press conference said there was a point early on in the offseason where he was like, we're never going to win. Like this is, I mean, you had Patrick Mahomes in 2020 in Miami. Then you had the Brock Purdy getting injured on the first drive of the game in Philadelphia. And then you had last year in overtime versus Patrick Mahomes. You had the lead and you couldn't get a stop. Like it's, I mean, at some point, either you just have to get over the hump, which I'm praying for,
or get off the hump,
or it's time to, it's going to be time to move on, and it's going to be completely different. And
what's the move on when we say that? Let's say, for example, this year, it's a good year, but by their standards, it's not. You know, they go 11-6. Maybe they win their division. They're not the 1 seed. They're the 3 seed. They win a wild card game, and then they lose the second game to the 2 seed in Dallas, and they don't make the NFC Championship game. And they deal with stuff all year long because they lose 6 regular season games and they lose before the championship game. So what does a change look like? Are you talking about on field, or are you talking about head coach, or what's a change? What change?
Well, I mean, there's no alternative and there's no better option than Kyle Shanahan out there. If you get rid of Kyle Shanahan, that's like committing organizational suicide, in my opinion. So you have Kyle Shanahan for as long as you want Kyle Shanahan until the thing literally goes rock bottom on you. The move is players because you can't afford everybody. So if they do keep Brandon Ayuk this year and they do sign him to a big time contract, which I don't know if they will, I think Brandon Ayuk's playing for this team this season. I don't know if he's getting the contract, but we'll see. You'll have to decide between Ayuk and Debo after this year. You're gonna have to pay Brock if Brock has another good season. You know, you have guys getting older: George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, they're not young.
Warner, like,
so smaller margins,
very small margins. And you just, for me personally, and for Niners fans, you just hope that that window that they've had isn't going to be now over with, because they had such good opportunities in 2020 and then in 2022 and then in 2023, and they couldn't get over that hump.
Were you surprised when Cynthia Freeland told us, Jim, that the next best in the NFC or Philadelphia would like to have a word? Were you surprised with that? That she said, stay with me.
Sorry.
No, I know. Stay with me. Were you surprised that she said Philadelphia would like to have a word? When I said, is San Francisco clear cut the best? She said, I was surprised because of the way the Eagles season ended last year. I wasn't thinking the Eagles are right there in the NFC heading into this year.
Here's where the Eagles, I feel like they're going to run into some issues this year. I still think they have an amazing roster.
Roster's very good. Wheels fell off at the end last year.
No, they completely fell off.
From the San Francisco home game on.
Yeah. You know, and you saw what the Eagles dealt with by losing the Super Bowl. Following year, they started out hot. And it's just so much effort and work to put in for another full season to get back to that point, that at some point you're just like, I'm tired. Like, I need a break. But the thing with the Eagles this season, you are without 2 of your captains, culture guys that kept things together, in Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelce.
You're talking about massive.
And those are massive losses
pieces.
for you.
Like the equivalent on San Francisco is
Fred Warner and like Trent Williams.
Massive losses.
Yeah. So, you know, how is that going to shape out? They still have a really good offense. I know they got DeAndre, or who did they get this offseason? Oh, yeah, they got Saquon Barkley.
Which I think is a nice addition. We'll see how nice. We'll see. I think it's a nice addition.
How are you going to replace Jason Kelce? How they still have a good offensive line even without him. How are you going to place Fletcher Cox on your line? I think they still have a pretty good, decent defensive line. But like the leadership that you just lost with those 2 guys is big. It's huge.
Are we forgetting about the Detroit Lions? And by we, I mean
no.
So are they like not 1 and 1A? Is it 1 and 1A San Francisco, Philadelphia, and then the 2 line is Detroit? Or is Detroit in a position where they enter the year like where the Eagles are?
Here's my teams in the NFC.
Or ranking.
There's no ranking. I'll just give them all my teams. You got Eagles, Niners, Lions. I'm going with the Rams, and I'm going with
Anyone in the South?
Oh, Green Bay.
Okay, that's the Central. But anyone out of the whomever?
Oh, Bears or
NFC? No, that's Central too.
Who's the South?
The
Atlanta.
NFC South, the Atlanta, Tampa, Carolina.
No.
Obviously not.
No.
Yeah, I'm
No.
with you.
So
yeah,
those are my teams right now.
All right, so you got like a handful, 5 teams.
Yeah, Eagles, Niners, Lions, Rams, Packers. I think one of those teams make the Super Bowl next year.
Mm-hmm. Probably true.
I think you got one of those teams will win the Super Bowl next season in the NFC.
Yeah, like again, I think if the Eagles aren't in an NFC championship, you could be looking at a head coaching change. I think if the Niners aren't in an NFC championship, you're right. I think Kyle Shanahan stays, but change is coming. Lions don't have to get to an NFC championship. I mean, let's be honest.
No. But there's expectation now.
There's expectations, and it's so hard to get there. And they admitted that after losing to the Niners with the large lead. Like, this isn't easy to do.
No.
To be in this spot.
Like, this might be our only opportunity. Like, it was a very real comment by Dan Campbell.
I agree. All right, an update on Padres Nats on the other side, plus your text 70470. Start your message with the word team. 70470. Start your message with the word team. We have Niall Horn tickets to give away. We're here until 6 on Jon and Jim. All right, so sports fans, listen up. We found paradise at Circa Las Vegas. We were there earlier this month for Mountain West Media Days. We're going back in August because it's a sports lover's dream. It features both the largest sports book in Nevada and Stadium Swim, which is a rooftop pool. You have to see to believe. It's actually 6 rooftop pools, massive outdoor video boards to watch all the games. Every single Padres game is on at Stadium Swim all season long. It's also open 365 days a year, by the way. Circus, which I think is terrific. There's nothing to worry about other than sports. Speaking of which, the biggest in Las Vegas are back. Circa Survivor and Circa Million are now up to $16 million in guaranteed prizes. 2 ways to win and no rake. Circa Survivor contestants select one team each week with no point spread. Last the longest to win it all with $10 million guaranteed. In Circa Million, make 5 picks against the spread each week for your share of $6 million guaranteed. Quarterly and full season payouts. You can enter in Nevada, but here's the deal. You can play from anywhere, including right here in San Diego. Visit circasports.com. That's circasports.com for details. You can hit us up on the Talkback mic. Just open the free iHeartRadio app. Listen to San Diego Sports 760. Tap that little red microphone icon next to the play button. 30-second Talkback. We can get your text here if you want to chime in. Padres trying to win again. It would be their fourth straight. Trade deadline is less than 6 days away. Your feedback, 70470. Start your message with the word team. Again, 70470. Start it with the word team. Well, this has been an interesting 3 innings, Jim, because the Padres behind Matt Waldron allowed 3 runs in the first inning. I think, well, maybe it's just not their day. I mean, they've dominated the Nats. They're on the road. They've been good on the road. Okay, so be it. Down 3-0. You can't win them all. And they have responded in a big way. Profar, we talked about the home run. Arise, the big 2-out, 2-run single. They've tacked on 2 more runs now in the 3rd inning. I would say they're well positioned now behind Matt Waldron, leading 6-3, trying to make it 4 straight overall and 5 straight overall against the Nationals.
Bryce Johnson isn't completely useless. He had
a bunt, a squeeze bunt.
A squeeze bunt. He has an RBI. Is that his first RBI of the season, John?
I can't answer that, and I will say no.
It was his first RBI of the year.
Wow. Congratulations.
A man with a 368 OPS.
Do you need to see more than bunt base hits from Bryce? No, you don't need to. You just need any productivity.
Anything
do
from
something.
Bryce Johnson will do, and you got it. So,
dude, I can't wait I want Mike Schilt postgame to be asked specifically about the squeeze bunt. If they win this game 14-3, I want to hear about the squeeze bunt. He'll be singing praises.
Will call out Bryce Johnson's squeeze bunt in the postgame. Guarantee it.
It might be the start. Like, hey, I know we won 16-3, and I know Profar hit 3 homers. I'm making it up. But Bryce Johnson's squeeze changed everything. We're not winning that game without that squeeze there. That's what he's going to. I could see him saying that. I could actually see him saying that. He's a little more. After the wins, I was listening yesterday. Like, after the wins, he's less like animated. Like, you don't get the Shilty that we've talked about. And when they lose, you get the confrontational Shilt sometimes. When they win, I mean, he's just singing everyone's praises. Everyone's.
It's the best version of Mike Schilt.
Yeah.
When they win, it's Donnie Barrels, it's Swarry, it's Wadey, it's Crone Zone.
Dude, what did you tell me? Or what have we been talking about since the All-Star break?
Schilt season. 4-1 in Schilt season upcoming.
If they can win this game, it's the 3rd inning. But if they can win this game, they're up by 3 runs. Schilt season. Because with St. Louis, he was good in the second half. Now, we kind of laughed at it because St. Louis was a long time ago in a different organization. And he's going to have to do it here. And nobody cares about St. Louis right now. But this 9-game trip, nobody was talking start 4-1 5 days ago. It was, hey, get through the road trip 5-4. That'd be great. Get through the road trip 4-5. You're okay. You start this trip 4-1. Wow. That would be really, really impressive. Mm-hmm. Truly impressive to start 4-1.
Absolutely. And you have got really good pitching. The offense the last couple of days. It's just they love playing the Nationals.
They really do. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, the Nationals really pissed off the Padres. And they said, okay,
we're going to remember this forever.
We will never forget this. And we are going to bash your brains in every time we see you. And so far, so good. They are about to be potentially, if they win this game, 5-0 versus the Nationals this year?
5-0. And here's the thing. It just keeps getting good. When you don't have a 5th starter, again, at some point, you're going to have a 5th starter. It's like when you go out every night, like, man, this is great because you're not thinking about work. Well, tomorrow, who is it then? Is it Cease? Is it King? Whoever it is, the options are great because their starting pitching has been so good. So who is it tomorrow, King or Cease? It is Cease. They're great. Yeah. He's been amazing. His last 2 times out, 13 innings, 2 hits. Like, so you just keep this thing rolling when you're only using 4 starters and they're all really good. Now that's going to end at some point.
You win this game, John. I think we then can say the Padres are officially hot.
Wait a second.
3 in a row.
Wait a second.
No. 3 in a row is not hot.
Hot or not?
Hot or not. 3 in a row is not hot. 4 in a row, I would consider to be hot. Not like red hot. 5 in a row, you're hot.
But trustworthy?
Because then you've won at minimum 2 series back to back.
But are they trustworthy?
No, they're not.
Hot, but not trustworthy.
Yeah, they're not. They're like it's like a toxic relationship.
It's either hot or cold.
It's like they're really hot. And then they go behind your back and cheat on you.
Right. There's no in between.
And then you go back to ground zero.
Right. No, you're right.
And to build back up that equity and trust. And the trust is not there.
Would you still say that, Jim? So they could be 4-1 with a win today. So let's just fast forward. If I told you 7-2, that's an amazing trip. But at 4-1, it's realistic. It's at least something you can think about. If I told you 7-2 trip, trustworthy?
No.
No.
Nope.
If I told you 7-2 trip, what do they need to do again? I forget your rules. They need to get 10 over?
My rules are by September 1st,
Okay.
they have to be 10 games over 500.
By September 1st, okay, because they'd have like 29 games left and be 10 over, where they could go like 10-9. And
Because if they finish off this month at, say, 5 games over, so they head into August, 5 games over 500.
Mm-hmm.
Then they play 5 games over 500 in August, which is very doable.
Sure.
It's not like crazy
No,
numbers
they're
here.
playing the Rockies and Marlins.
That's my point.
Yeah.
And you get to September 1st, 10 games over, then I can start to
start.
Well,
I will
trust them.
I'm going to trust
I will
them.
trust them.
I'll change that to say, here are the John Schaefer rules. The Jim rules are 10 games over September 1st.
Okay.
The John Schaefer rules,
they win tonight. John's full all the way.
Well, I
in.
was all in.
You're already all in.
They were
Yeah.
19-18 after they beat the Dodgers in game 1. The John Schaefer rules are get 7 games over 500 at any point. I trust them.
7 games
7 over at any point, completely trustworthy. You won't hear me say another bad thing about them.
That's no. That's
7 games
that's not
over, they're
enough.
good.
Not enough.
They are golden at 7 games
Not
over.
enough, man.
7 games over. I'm printing playoff tickets.
They were 6 over and they gave it back like that.
And that's why I say 7.
So, okay.
That's why I changed my tune.
Well, even if they were 7 games over 500, John, they would have ended at the All-Star
Yeah,
break
one
just
game.
2 games over instead of 1 game over.
All right. That's why you say 10. We can
Why,
agree to
why I
disagree.
say that is because if you get to September 1, 10 games over 500, you will have successfully played through the dog days in August. Really good baseball, which last year was not the case. And you will not have given back right away good play.
Yeah, I see. You're going to hold on to it. It's like you go 10 over and then all of a sudden go 1-9 over
You will
10 games.
you will effectively have gone a month and a half of really good baseball if you get to 10 over by September 1. And there's nothing there but to trust this team because they have, it feels like, would have weathered the storm. They haven't given back right away what they have gained. They can still do it. I'm not saying there's no chance if they are 10 games up at September 1 that they're giving it back. There's absolutely a chance, but I'll feel a lot better about them. I'll be more trusting of them because they went a full month and 2 weeks, month and a half of really good baseball to get them to 10 games over when they went to the All-Star break, 1 game over.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you on that. Let's start the third hour by discussing this off the text line from the 619-70470. Started with team. Do we really want the Padres to get aggressive and trade away the future for a big addition? What do you want Padres fans from AJ Preller between now and July 30th? Like, what are you hoping for? And do you want him to go big or not, considering the team is playing well without any sizable addition as of yet? So we can start the third hour there. You can text us 70470. Start your message with the word team. In addition to that, in the third hour, we're giving away Niall Horn tickets. We've got a pair of them. North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, July 30th. Ticketmaster.com for tickets and info. We have Jim's back page ahead. We'll keep you updated on the Padres. Hour 3, John and Jim next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Toyota Carlsbad. Relaxed and friendly since 1972. Padres all over the Nationals, top of the fourth inning in D.C. They lead 8-3 now in game 2 of that series, looking for the series win. And NBA news of the day, NBA said no thank you to TNT. They are officially going to Amazon Prime and NBC starting in the 2025 season. The heat is on for big summer savings at Toyota Carlsbad right now. Save on new Toyota Tundra and Tacoma trucks. See specials online at toyotacarlsbad.com. Toyota Carlsbad, the most relaxed and friendly place for over 50 years.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is the final hour of Jon and Jim. We'll give away those Niall Horn tickets. We will update you on the NBA's TV rights moving forward. We'll continue to discuss the trade deadline that's coming up in less than a week, and the Padres have opened it up on Washington in Game 2 of this series. The Nats will sell, Jim. It's officially official. I've made that decision for them, and they're basically selling because of the Padres. If it's not for San Diego, the Nationals have had a good year. Like the Nationals right now, what's the record? They're 47-54. If not for the Padres, they'd basically be a 500 team. But because of the Padres, they're completely buried. Jackson Merrill, 3 for 3. Xander Bogaerts, 2 more hits. Jurickson Profar, 2 hits and a home run. It's all Padres 9-3. They're going to win their 4th straight here today.
Yeah, it's over.
It's done.
Turn on the lights on the national season. Party's over.
Yeah, you guys go sell.
Yeah.
Maybe to the Padres, right?
Did the Nationals want anything to do with the Padres?
Probably not.
Anymore this season?
Probably not.
They're like, we don't want to talk to you guys anymore. Like, can you just leave? We're done.
I agree with
You're
that.
bullying us too much. Yes, you are our daddies. We're done here. It's over with.
It's kind of funny how one team can do this to one team. Like, truly, the Padres have determined the Nationals' course of action. By beating them 5 consecutive times, the Nats will sell off. And the Padres, I mean, if you're AJ Preller, I think you're licking your chops as the GM. I mean, you have to be. This is unbelievable. Kyle Higashioka has homered. So I think if you're AJ Preller, you got everything you need. To start this hour here, someone said in the text line, do we really want the Padres to get aggressive and trade away the future for a big addition? They don't need a big addition, Jim. They just need a 5th starter. Would you agree with that? They don't need a big addition. They need a 5th starter. They have everything they need.
Jackson Merrill, a single or a homer away from the cycle.
In his return to like his hometown, would that be good?
He has a triple, double, single.
I'm surprised to hear that from you. You're spending so much time on Bobby Witt cycles. I don't know if you could fit in a Jackson Merrill one. Are they going to hit him to avoid the cycle next time up? And now you have your storyline.
You're up 11-3.
Right. Now the Nats can do whatever. No, the Nats are done poking the bear with the Padres.
You can't continue to poke that bear because that bear is going to tear you apart.
Right. Exactly.
And it already has.
Exactly.
They have had their way with the Nationals this year. They have played amazing baseball against the Nationals. And yeah, I mean, what a great start to Schultz season and the road trip.
How about this great text, by the way? 70470 started with team. It says all this without Manny. I mean, it's true. Yeah. I'm just specifically the second half. Now, he had 2 hits yesterday. But in the second half, they've played 5 games. Manny's done nothing. Hasn't been a big part of these, what is about to be 4 wins in 5 games. That, I think, is encouraging because we always say, like, oh, Manny's good, team's good. Manny's not good, team's not good. Well, Manny hasn't been great, and the team has really played well. Some of it's better baseball.
It's so funny how I didn't say anything negative about Xander, but
Yeah,
I mean, it's a little pop. Be great. Goes out today. 2 more hits. He's on base 3 times. I think Bryce Johnson just even got a hit. I mean, this team is rolling right now. Is my success rate probably close to 1,000 when I say something that could be deemed as negative towards this team?
Man, you have a very high success rate.
Yes.
You do.
Yeah.
But in doing what we do, you have to offer an opinion. You can't just be like, I reserve judgment on all players until all 162 have been played, and then I'll have an opinion. It's been fair to be critical of Xander Bogaerts in his Padres tenure. It's also fair to be giving him credit for what's played out since returning from the injury, which is he's been a consistent hitter. And that's really encouraging for the Padres, because if Xander Bogaerts is going to hit consistently in the second half of the season, it's just another thing they got going for him. Because every day that passes, you're getting closer to Fernando Tatis Jr. also. Like, he's not out for the year. I hope not. Like, you're getting every day that passes, you're getting closer to the possibility of, who knows, maybe you get a Musgrove or a Darvish or a Tatis or a deadline addition. So, so again, the fact that they're doing this without Tatis, the fact that Bogaerts is performing well, that's a credit to the Padres right now, is what it is.
It really is. They have played good baseball at the second half so far. But it will be continuously. It will be a continuous storyline. Can they not give this away? Can they stay playing good baseball? I think every day that passes with this team playing like this up into the deadline, it's given Preller even more itch to do something crazy.
No, I think the opposite.
Really?
Because do they need to do anything crazy if they are well positioned and playing well?
But what I mean by crazy, John, is not trade like half the roster.
What's crazy?
Crazy is give in to a Garrett Crochet trade.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
But if you give into a Garrett Crochet trade, back to the texter's point, do you want a big addition if you're mortgaging any of, like, that's your real future if it is Ethan Salas or Leo DeVries, right? Like, that's real future to give up one of those two, if not both. They're not giving up both. But, like, you cool with that? Either Jim or Padres fan, 70470 started with team?
I have like the angel and the devil on my shoulder. The angel side is like, win now. This team is getting older. The stars are getting older. You are in position where you can make a run for this thing right now. So go for it now. And then the devil is like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
or maybe it's
4 games. So no, you're right.
Yeah, devil side is like, what the hell are you doing? DeVries is a potential superstar. You keep trading away your top prospects. You might win 85 games and get knocked out in this wild card round, and you just traded away a top prospect in your organization for a guy who you maybe just moved to the bullpen in August because his innings were super high. What the hell's going on?
Right. To get crazy with Crochet is like, well, what's he accomplishing for you over the final 60 games if he's not going to start? I would assume if you trade for him, he's going to start, even though he's up against, he's thrown more innings than he ever has. I don't know. I mean, are you more inclined to go crazy because you're playing good baseball, or are you less inclined to go crazy because you're playing good baseball? And you know what they're going to sell to us when we get Tatis back. That's like a trade deadline edition. You're going to hear that.
But even with them playing good baseball up to the trade deadline potentially, you have to be realistic about these things and say we still need another starter.
Yes. Oh yeah, realistic. I'm all for.
Yeah.
They have to add a starter,
and maybe to their thinking is like we could go out and get a Cal Quantrill or Kikuchi or whatever the case may be.
Nick Martinez.
Or do we want to get the best starter out there?
Right.
Do we want to really push this even more all the way into the table that it is right now? Do we want to get the best starter potentially?
Or just a starter?
Or just a starter.
I need a car, but you know what? Screw it. Let me go get a Rolls Royce, or do I go get a Jetta?
Like, hey, I need some new running shoes. Do I want to get the $30 running shoes? Or do I want to say, screw it, I want to get the $180 running shoes?
Do you ever go like $200 in on shoes?
I haven't gotten $200 in on shoes in a long
See, I'm not like that with
time.
shoes, and I'm not like that with cars. A car for me is a little point A to point B. For others, is not.
The most I'll go on shoes is probably like $80.
Yeah, I'm like 100.
Yeah, depends on
But
what shoes I
200,
get.
I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
But no, your point's valid because that's who Preller is, the splashy guy. But then you look at it on field, you're like, wow, Arise, Cease, Crochet, 4 games over. Like that, he makes these huge moves. Soto, 82 and 80. So, like, I just don't know if they go down that path or not. I'm fascinated by it. I'm fascinated by what he's going to do. I think it's so intriguing. I think it's amazing. I hate to even use the word content in it. I just think it's amazing for Padres fans because you truly don't know. And he's the biggest wild card in the sport. And you like to say that, I think, when your team's playing good baseball. Like your GM is the one that's willing to be as creative as any.
Now, Crochet is not Juan Soto.
No, he doesn't hit.
He's there's no Juan Soto out there, but at the same time, you can make it so when you trade for him, or if you traded for him, or you try to trade for him, this is not just a 1-year thing. This is a multiple-year thing. If you feel confident that you're going to make the postseason this year, you feel confident that your job is still intact, you're trading and you're trying to build this team out as for next year as well.
Would he use the 3 postseason line? We gave up Ethan Salas because we're not playing for 1 pennant. We're playing for 3 with Garrett Crochet. Or did he learn from that with one? Because that was the whole selling point on Soto. We got a chance to win 3 Worlds. I mean,
that's
say that.
Those lines should be taken
with a grain of salt.
100%.
Yeah, and I understand that. What are you supposed to say?
Yeah. Like, we're going to have him for a year and a half.
And
then
we
don't
think
him.
we're going to win.
Yeah, because we're not going to re-sign him, so
Right.
we need to trade him, and then we're going to have a complete collapse next year.
Dude, AJ Preller, I don't know where he is. Is he on the trip? Because, again, they're not home until the deadline basically passes, which is next week against the Dodgers. Is he in San Diego, or is he on the trip? But I'm sitting there with my laptop open. I got a lot of Excel documents open if I'm Preller. I got a lot of sheets. I'm talking to Eric Itzenda.
Well, as Dan Lang said, the Padres are in this category. Padres play early on Sunday against the Orioles.
And then off Monday?
And they have off Monday, and they don't play till 6:45 on Tuesday night, the trade deadline.
After the deadline is passed.
Yeah.
So you're right. You got the full 48 hours from Sunday afternoon till Tuesday afternoon, all yours.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but with Preller, he's not scared to do something before that. It's not like he's like, oh, you know what? I'll just worry about it then. He's not sitting there like, oh, I'll worry about it come Sunday afternoon. He's worrying about it now, right?
Oh, he's been worrying about it for like April. 2 months ago.
Right.
The second he traded for Luis Ariz, he's like, all right, what's next?
I agree.
That's just what it is.
I'm excited. Honestly, if you're a Padres fan, I'm excited about it. I really, again, I wouldn't be as excited if they were chasing something down and playing like they were even 10 days ago. If you would have told me they're 1-9 in their last 10 and they're 53-50, I'd be like, oh my gosh, they're holding on for dear life.
It makes it better when the team's playing well at the trade deadline.
Way better.
And it gives you hope. Like, just being realistic, let me just look at the scores right now and look at.
Are you going to do a little scoreboard watching?
Oh, I'm into it. In baseball
I'm
today.
into it.
So, the Mets lead the Yankees right now 3-2 at the bottom of the 4th inning. You have Diamondbacks and Royals with Bobby Witt Jr. just underway in Kansas City. Pittsburgh beat the Cardinals today 5-0.
They're red hot.
And that's it, right?
That was great. That was a good update.
Well, I'm trying to see other teams. St. Louis is off today, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think St. Louis is playing today. Or no, they did play. That was the Pirates, my bad. So the Cardinals lost, but the Pirates won.
You keep winning, it takes care of itself. Because there's so many teams, they can't all win.
Right. And even if when the Padres win today,
right,
they'll be tied for a wild card spot.
I know. I'm pretending like they're like clearly.
That's why it's like slow down a little bit. Just because they're playing really good baseball right now, it doesn't mean that everything is completely fine. They are still like in the thick.
They're in the thick of it. You're right.
A couple bad games.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're like, we're 3-4 games out.
You're right. All right. A texter 70470 started with team has a trade that he says will make the Padres a favorite in the National League. We'll get into that on the other side. Plus, we have Niall Horn tickets to give away in Jim's back page next. How would you describe this? Like, what does this music typically go with?
Oh, this is
Like-
dentist's office. This
Yeah.
is elevator music.
Yeah,
This is
elevator.
like- is this all they gave you, Brent?
There's a reason why this.
Yeah, okay, fair. Okay, 858 has a trade to make the Padres a World Series favorite. You want to hear it? A trade to make the Padres a World Series favorite. All right, 70470 start with team. This is what 858 says. Only one trade will make the Padres World Series favorites. Trade Machado. this is trade Machado, Tatis, Bogarts, Musgrove, and Darvish. Pay 100% of their salaries and get that stud Juan Soto. A lot to give, but automatic World Series champs. I think he's being facetious. So he says trade the big five for Juan Soto. And they're there. Everything's fixed. Everything's fixed.
You know what they should also ask the Yankees for?
What?
Just can you throw in Aaron Judge while you're at it?
And Trent Grisham to really put it over the top.
We'll take Grisham off your hands.
Right.
Actually, you don't need Garrett Cole anymore, right?
Don't need them. They don't.
Throw in Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge. I think it's a fair trade.
A lot of people weighing in actually on the text line. 360 says Preller was pretty cautious last year with the addition of Rich Hill, Garrett Cooper, Choi. He's not stupid. Always seems to have a good feel for when to go all in and when to be fairly restrained. I mean, we all had a feel. It's not like 2023. It's like, man, Preller, you're so smart for only going out and getting Rich Hill. You know what I mean? Like everyone had a feel. They were done. In fact, what would have been smarter, Texter, in our opinion, and in my opinion, what would have been smarter is if they sold off pieces like Josh Hader a year ago and got something back for him. That would have been smart, potentially.
But it didn't happen.
It didn't.
And alas, here we are. How do you feel about Xander Bogaerts having not 2 hits today, but 3 hits today?
I feel like the second, because you've talked yourself all over the place with Bogaerts, because you said before he came back, like, I'll give him time. Like, he doesn't even have to perform. I'll give him time. And then you're like, well, we'll give it like a series. I'm like, a series? And then all of a sudden he's hit, and you're like, yeah, he's hit, but I'm like, you said you were going to give him time.
Yes. Okay. I've been all over the
Are
place.
you apologizing to Xander?
I'm not apologizing to Xander. How about this?
Okay.
All right. I'll give him time for the power and for the pop.
Yes.
How about that? I'll give him time coming off the shoulder injury to show that he can provide pop and power for this team hitting in the middle of the lineup.
Right.
And right now, he's doing exactly what you would want, which is get on base, get hits, hitting the ball hard, which he has been doing. And I will give him time for the power to come back. But if by September 1, he's just still like 2 extra base hits in his last 35 games, then a discussion maybe has to be like had about that.
What if he's hitting 381?
Well, then I'm sure that we won't talk about it because
We
if
will.
they're winning and he's hitting for average, but he's not hitting for power, then really what's the point of it then?
We have a Bryce Miller hot take at the UT. Now, Bryce Miller, columnist, is traveling with the team. Here's the headline. Padres need to consider trading an infielder, but it might not be Ha-Seong Kim. Okay, I'll click on that. And I did. You know who he's theorizing could be moved and has value?
Don Solano.
Correct. So
why?
Well, I haven't read that far. Because he has value and you're not playing him. Like your theory is, hey, you play him against left-handed pitching, but if they're not going to play him against left-handed pitching and he serves a role for another team against left-handed pitching, should you trade him away if you're not playing him?
No.
Again, what are you getting back for him?
Wow, that's stupid.
Well, relax. I mean, I don't know if it's stupid.
Sorry, Bryce.
Yeah.
I don't think you would want to trade a solid bench piece that you have, a guy that has hit 300 versus lefties this year. He's hitting 296, I want to say, this season, or 298.
Overall, you're saying?
Overall.
Mm-hmm.
And at any moment, a guy could go down. And if you don't have Donovan Solano on your team, the next guy up after that's Tyler Wade. You don't want to be in a situation where Tyler Wade's getting consistent at bats here. So
right. So you're saying it's an insurance policy.
Yeah, he's an insurance policy that I think needs to play a little more than he is right now, which is like 0. Do you think he gets in at bat in this game, by the way? I mean, they're up.
No. They got to be
12-3.
up more than this. It's a 9-run game. You can't risk it. By the way, Bryce Miller has quotes from both Ha-Seong Kim and Donovan Solano on the trade deadline at the UT. Kim saying today, it's something I can't control, but I'm really happy with the group of guys we have here. I like being in San Diego. That's Ha-Seong Kim today. And how about this from Donovan Solano? Right now, everybody is healthy, so it's a lot of infielders. Nothing's going to surprise me. I know how the business works. It's nothing personal. They do what's best for the organization. I don't know what's going on for me in the future, what's going on for me tomorrow. I just stay prepared for any time the team needs me. So both have been asked. And Kim, by the way, has said he has heard the rumors. He's heard, he's aware of it. He understands. It's that time of year. I don't think I'd
Why
be
should they
really
be
surprised
worried?
if Ha-Seong Kim is on the move. That's where it goes back to that. Everything's good. Why are you moving Ha-Seong Kim?
You don't know. Nobody on this Major League roster should be worried about getting traded. That's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
no, I understand.
The only players that should be worried about moving anywhere are Bryce Johnson
to
AAA, and that's it. And maybe some relievers.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. But as far as like the mainstays, the everyday guys, no one should be worried. You're in it. You're in the thick of it. You're playing good baseball right now. You are about to win your 4th straight out of the first 5 games on this road trip.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you take Bryce Johnson out of the lineup, you add Tatis back. It's a pretty decent lineup.
I agree.
You have every single position in your lineup right now. If you add Tatis back in there and take out Bryce Johnson, all can contribute. Every single one of them. Arise, Profar, Bogey, Machado, Merrill, Cronenworth, Higashioka, Kim. Like, everybody in your lineup can contribute. You have one guy that shouldn't be there, and that's Bryce Johnson. But hopefully Tatis will be back in a couple of weeks.
Injury, yeah.
And then you have a pretty decent lineup, and you'll have Donovan Solano on your bench. You'll have Luis Campisano on your bench. You'll have, who knows, maybe another bat on your bench if you go out and trade for somebody.
I wouldn't be shocked if Solano moved. Even though you called it stupid, I wouldn't be shocked. Let's hear from Dan Lang on the other side. He joined us earlier, MLB Network Radio, on the upcoming trade deadline. How he views the Padres at this very moment. He's based in D.C. So our conversation with Dan Lang, plus Jim's back page. Plus, we have tickets to give away. Let's do it right now. Caller 3, these are yours. 2 free tickets to see Niall Horn at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater July 30th. Caller 3, they are yours. 877-767-4760. 2 free tickets to see Niall Horn of One Direction at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater July 30th. Ticketmaster.com for tickets and info. Call right now if you want them. 877-767-4760. Dan Lang next. All right, this update is brought to you by Dairy Queen. Padres in action. Game 2 of their 3-game series in our nation's capital, Nationals Park, and leading 12-3. They trailed early. They've scored 12 straight. Jurickson Profar and Kyle Higashioka have both homered for the Padres here today. Also, NBA TV rights news is official. NBC, ESPN have landed the next TV deal with the NBA, leaving Turner and TNT on the outside looking in. And this update brought to you by Dairy Queen.
Hey, DQ fans, mark your calendars. Thursday, July 25th. Today is Miracle Treat Day 2024. $1 more of every Blizzard treat sold at participating DQ locations benefits your local children's hospital. Remember, today, July 25th, or tomorrow, July 25th, only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
All right, Jon and Jim back with you. We do have Jim's Backstage coming up in about 15 minutes. We're with you until 6 p.m. If you missed it earlier, we caught up with Dan Lang, who's a really good baseball voice. I've known him for forever. We worked in, believe it or not, minor league baseball together, the Carolina League. Back in the day, he's at MLB Network Radio, and we started the conversation asking about what he thinks the Padres should be doing with the deadline approaching.
I think it's an interesting year when it comes to the trade deadline, right? It's coming up on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. So, like you said, we're less than a week away from it. And you take a look and you have 21 teams right now that either have a hold of a postseason spot if the season ended or are within 5 games of a postseason spot. So how many teams are buying? How many teams are selling? That is a huge question. And one of the bigger storylines is going to be really fascinating to see over the next few days as to how it carries out. And frankly, if anything really happens over the next few days, or if we start to see really, Sunday and Monday it go nuts and really we don't see anything until then. Like, for instance, I know the Rays head of baseball ops, Eric Deanders, said he's pretty happy because they have the really early game on Sunday. They have the 11:30 a.m. game Eastern on Sunday, and then they don't play Monday, and then they play Tuesday late. So he said, we in a sense have about 50 hours without games where we can sit there and totally get all in and figure out what to do. So I think it's going to be really fascinating to see how it all shakes out. As far as the Padres go, obviously they're right there, sitting a half game out of a spot coming into today. And, like you said, Preller, you never can count him out. You never know what he's doing. I'd be shocked if he did anything big. Maybe shocked is not the right word because I just said we wouldn't, necessarily be shocked if he did anything. But, he's already got Luis Ariz and he already got Dylan Cease. You can sit there and say that, okay, those aren't trade deadline guys, but they're ones that he got. You could say, all right, well, he got him, and instead of having him for a couple months, he had him for, seemingly a whole season. Also, you can say the Padres should be getting Fernando Tatis Jr. back at some point, even though there's not a hard and fast timeline on him. Who knows about Darvish and Musgrove? There's a big question mark as to, his right elbow inflammation and his bone spurs and all that jazz, and how he's going to be even when he comes out of it. So if I were a betting man, I'd say, probably grab somebody that is a reliever or two, something to that effect, but not anything huge, not necessarily a huge headline grabbing deal. Because also, while they've apparently been in discussions about Garrett Crochet with the White Sox, they've turned him down a few of the offers that Preller's thrown out there down. So you wonder, where are they as far as, are they offering the top prospects? Probably not, because, they don't really have as deep a farm system, the Padres, as they've had in the past years.
Well, what's your prediction on where you think Garrett Crochet lands?
That's a good question. And I've even heard some people say that he could just stay with the White Sox because of his controllability. And if they're wanting so much, and if teams sit there and go, no, I think the Orioles could be a fascinating one to watch because the Orioles have a really deep farm system and they need some arms. And I know they're excited up there. They have a new owner up there in Baltimore. And so I think they're kind of a dark horse. I would maybe say Baltimore.
Dan Lang, MLB Network Radio with us. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Padres and Nats getting ready for Game 2 of their series. You've seen these players that they got for Juan Soto. I'm talking about the Nationals start to pay dividends, right? I mean, obviously C.J. Abrams and Mackenzie Gore, but now even James Wood. How do you look at that return and the impact it's going to have on Washington long term?
Well, I mean, it's been pretty impressive so far. Tip of the cap to the Nationals president of baseball operations, Mike Rizzo, and what he was able to get back for Juan Soto after Soto turned down the Nationals extension offer. So, what he's been able to get back has been impressive. He has a great track record, Rizzo does. That's why he's been here in Washington for so long. And James Wood, I mean, the buzz around him the day he was called up was incredible. The national media that was on the field for batting practice and the live hits that were being made by networks. I mean, it was pretty impressive to see. And he's such a quiet, humble dude that that's also pretty impressive. Man of very few words, so it'll be interesting to see if he comes out of his shell a little bit. But what's interesting this week is Jackson Merrill and James Wood played together growing up as kids. And Jackson Merrill, his mom was in the elevator yesterday at the game and said a bunch of family and relatives are going to be at the game yesterday. And frankly, for the 6 games that the Padres have here in the DMV, the 3 games here in Washington last night, tonight, and tomorrow afternoon here in DC, and then the 3 games in Baltimore over the weekend, Friday and Saturday and Sunday. He's actually staying at home, Merrill is, which is kind of cool in Severna Park. To your initial question of what the Nationals got from the Padres, it looks pretty good right now. I'm going to be interested to see how Mackenzie Gore improves over time, but CJ Abrams is the real deal.
I know this is an impossible question to answer, but
thanks for asking.
You're welcome. Yes, with the amount of teams that are in the wild card race in the National League, I feel like it's starting to shape up right now. You have some teams falling off, and like the Giants and the Cubs, but you have the Mets, the Cardinals, the Padres, Diamondbacks, and the Pirates there for 2 spots. Who would you pick right now to make the wild card in the National League of the teams I just mentioned?
When you look at the National League, I would go with let's do Padres, and I really want to say Pirates. Part of it's because a lot of it's because I think it'd be a great storyline, right? And frankly, it would force the Pirates owner to maybe spend a little money in the off season if they get to the postseason this year. So I'm going to go Padres and Pirates.
It'll be, I mean, what's fascinating is the Padres and Pirates play 6 times right after the deadline. We'll see if they get Paul Skeens 1 time, 2 times, or 0 times potentially in those 2 series. How much of this, in your opinion, Dan, from the Padres' perspective, kind of, the 30,000-foot view is like, you got to find your way in the postseason. The amount they've invested in this big league roster over the last 5 years. AJ Preller's been here for 10 years. They're in a dogfight, so to speak. They trade capital all the time. They make big acquisitions, but they don't necessarily always win as a result. Do you see it like they got to find a way to get into the postseason this year?
I think so. I think for Preller's situation, I mean, and, with Peter Seidler having passed away, the Padres owner before the season, I think you sit there and, Preller, where is he in the scheme of things moving forward? I haven't really heard a lot as far as, and frankly, I don't know his contract. I don't know if it's up or for how many years he has left on his contract. But he is a guy that's a freewheeling guy. He likes to spend a lot. He likes to make splashes and headlines. But as you said, he hasn't really attained a ton of success when it comes to wins and losses and postseason appearances. So, I think that being in the mix all the time is great, but you also have to get there and make a little bit of an impact occasionally, just so people are like, oh yeah, okay, fine. Yeah. Okay. They're here. Okay. We can't really sell. We can't really, okay, great. I think they're in a spot where they've got to do something. I mean, right now they're 3 games above 500. The Padres are. That's not awesome. And I think they've got to figure out a way to claw their way in. But like you said, because they've traded away so much capital, they don't have a ton of it, either money or in prospects, still lying around to go out and play with, so to speak, and trying to figure out a deal and an acquisition or 2. So I think they're in a bit of an interesting situation unless Preller pulls off one of his moves where he gets another team involved or, trades away a star player but gets 2 back and, that type of thing and moves money around and all that jazz, which he's known to do. So you you never know. But yes, I do think that he's the type of, or that the Padres are a team that's got to figure out a way to get in. I mean, they're half game out right now, and they're 3 games above 500, and let's go.
We've been talking about Garrett Crochet a lot. Is there another big name that's not named Garrett Crochet that you could see moved at the deadline?
What do you think about Tariq Skubal?
Yeah, it's a big one.
That's a big one. Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's years of controllability there as well. Are the Tigers willing to move him? I heard the other day, I heard a ridiculous thing of, all right, fine. So they move him and they throw Javi Baez's contract on with it because they want to get rid of that. And it's like, would the Orioles give Jackson Holiday? And immediately it's like, no, and no. Like for all that money, no. But that's when things get interesting. The Tariq Skubal's a name that might be kind of interesting to keep an eye on. Jazz Chisholm is probably a guy with the Marlins I see rolling somewhere. I mean, where is going to be interesting if he can play so many different spots, and he's such a dynamic piece that it's going to be really interesting to see what the Marlins are able to get for him and how he pieces into where he goes. Luis Robert, do the Cubs move Jamison Tyone? You know, he still has a couple years and $18 million a year left on his contract after this season. He's having a good year. Do they decide, all right, let's move him? So those are a couple names that I think could roll out
over the next 6 days between now and 3 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday. Dan, we really appreciate it. Thanks for hopping on in San Diego. Let's do it again later in the season, and I hope you're well, man.
Sure, anytime.
All right, Dan Lang, MLB Network Radio, earlier today on the upcoming trade deadline and the state of the Padres, who right now are all over the Nats. They lead 12-3 behind Matt Waldron in the 6th inning. Looking for a 5th consecutive win. We do have Jim's Back Page coming up for you on the other side. We are here until 6 p.m. Jim's Back Page, it'll come your way next. All right, join us tonight, YouTube. Search for the Padres wrap-up show. We'll have it for you tonight, 9:30 Pacific. Padres looking for a fourth consecutive win. I think Jim said he would call them hot with a fourth straight win.
Yeah.
So they're hot because they're up 12-3. They've won this game, right? I don't even know what inning it is. I'm not even paying attention because it's been all
over.
Padres since they
Like the
trailed. Sixth inning, they trailed 3-0. They now lead 12-3. So you can join us tonight at 9:30 on YouTube. Right now, as always, let's get to this.
So Brent brought this to my attention earlier today. With Deadpool and Wolverine coming out this weekend, bunch of promotional items are going on sale for multiple different companies. This is going to be the biggest movie of the summer by far. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon for promotion stuff. It's smart. It's good. You look everywhere, you see Deadpool, Wolverine.
And it's coming out this weekend.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow
Tomorrow's
night,
early release.
Friday, yeah.
Friday's official everywhere
Okay.
release of it.
Yeah.
But Jack in the Box is offering fans limited edition mini chimichanga bang bangs as Deadpool and Wolverine arrives to theaters this week. Here's everything you need to know about the chimichangas. Fans can buy Deadpool and Wolverine's Jack in the Box mini chimi bang bangs at Jack in the Box locations across the United States. The special mini chimi bang bangs will have a limited edition Deadpool packaging and come in two variations. The classic one will cost $3.50, while the Deadpool times Jack in the Box antenna ball, sauced and loaded with, will be priced at $4.50. The latter will be available for the first 100 customers. Additionally, fans can purchase the classic mini chimichangas at $10 in fan favorite boxes. The classic mini chimi bang bangs will contain 3 pieces of Southwest chicken mini chimichangas. As for the Deadpool times Jack in the Box antenna ball, sauced and loaded, it will have 3 pieces of Southwest chicken mini chimichangas with shredded cheddar, cheese sauce, shredded lettuce, and taco sauce.
I'm hungry now. Are you going to pick those up?
I might.
Are they? When did you say they're available now? Or
They're
tomorrow?
available now.
Now. Okay.
They're available now.
Maybe on the way home, Jim.
Potentially.
Pick those up.
Potentially. So yeah, this weekend, all the Deadpool and Wolverine stuff. Well, it's all coming out now anyway. So there you go.
Are you now? I know Brent's excited. Are you excited for I'm very excited?
I'm very excited.
Okay.
Yes, I'm very, very excited.
I could tell.
Yesterday we talked about the Hawk Tua girl.
Yeah.
And her trading cards that she was personally signing.
$100 each or something.
$100 a pop.
Yeah.
Well, an update on those cards, John.
Sold out.
She sold 1,000 Hawk Tua cards in less than 24 hours.
So 1,000 times 100 is 100 grand.
Yeah.
She got 100 grand in revenue on a signed card. That's in a day.
A personal signed card, like whatever.
Plus, she had been paid over 10K. I had read to appear because she has 1 million Instagram followers.
I mean, this is kind of crazy.
It's getting a little crazy. I mean, she's gonna make a lot of money this year. I mean, a lot. I don't know what's gonna happen in 2025. Like, if anyone's gonna care.
Just thinking 50 years when Jim Jr. is doing Jim's Jr.'s back page, he'll be doing an auction story about how the Hawk Tua girls card sold at auction for $4 million.
That's actually really funny. That's really
it's
funny.
True. If I was her, she's doing the right thing. She is soaking up the 15 minutes of fame. You have to maximize everything. You stash all the money you possibly can.
Yes.
Because in a couple months, this will be over with. So
absolutely
stash it.
But 1 million Instagram followers is worth money long term.
Oh, for sure. Like, she can continue. I'm not saying that she'll never make any money again off this,
but maybe not this
will.
kind of money.
Probably not this kind of money. But if you're, I mean, I don't know what the cut is from this, but say she gets like 50%. You get $50,000
in a day.
All because she did some interview on the street in Tennessee.
That went viral on the internet. And then nobody saw until they saw.
Yeah. Like, hey, what would you give a guy like in the bedroom? She's like, oh, Hawk Tua, and spit on that thing.
Wow.
That gained her like $1 million potentially, or close
maybe
to it.
more.
Maybe more.
In the long term. It's
crazy.
Interesting times we're living in.
Yeah. I figured we should end the show today with a tennis story.
Of course.
Rafael Nadal's shirt from the 2005 French Open. You remember that French Open, right?
Oh,
John?
when it was on clay and he had that huge serve.
Yeah. The huge volley back.
Oh, well, but then he won that point to end it.
Would you consider Rafael Nadal like one of the greatest tennis players in the history
he-
of tennis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, his shirt, John, from that 05 French Open is going to auction. It's estimated worth $100,000.
$100,000 for his 05 title shirt that he wore.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to buy that or not.
He's won a lot of French Opens.
He's won a lot of
Grand
Opens.
Slams. But I think
Grand
French Open,
Slams.
he's won a lot. I mean, yeah, you're right. So it's been washed since the 2005 French Open, I would think. $100,000. Is it signed or anything?
No.
Do you think it'd be worth less if they washed it?
Maybe. $100,000's a lot. It's just a shirt, right? It's like an Adidas shirt. They don't wear like Bulls uniforms. It's not like a cool uniform or something.
No.
So I think I'm going to pass on that one.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the one I'm going to have to pass on.
And finally, what do you make of Snoop Dogg carrying the Olympic torch on the final leg for the opening ceremonies on Friday?
He's actually carrying the torch during the ceremony, but he's not I thought that was just for athletes.
No.
No,
it could like
I didn't
no,
know
like
that.
everyday people can participate
I
in
didn't
like
know
the
that.
torch thing. Yeah.
Okay,
Snoop Dogg will be.
It's like there's like 8 different legs to where like you might carry it from Seattle to San Diego.
Yeah, but
and
okay, so he's the final leg to Paris,
Yes,
like he's the final mile or something.
He'll be one of the final torch bearers of the
Gotcha.
Olympic flame. He says that he hopes he can recreate some of the magic for a global audience, like Muhammad Ali did when he carried the torch in the 1996 Atlanta Games.
I feel like it's a little different than Muhammad Ali.
Little different. Snoop Dogg will carry the torch in the the suburbs of Paris, of Saint Denis, according to the town's mayor.
Kind of cool. I mean, they're using him a lot on NBC. I know.
Oh yeah,
they're using Peyton Manning a lot. I've been told from the internet.
I'm just wondering, can he jog that long?
Right? Is it a jog? Is it
Is
a
he
walk?
gonna be able to walk?
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be chronic
depends
coughing the whole way down the thing.
how far is it?
It doesn't say.
I mean, it's a good point. If it's like more than a mile, I think you can do a mile.
Yeah.
Like everyone could figure out a mile. You just figure it out. You just
He's
get through it.
He's gonna be high, right? Like he's got to be. You got to smoke at least one joint before.
I'm telling you, he's pretty
He's
brilliant.
probably gonna light it up with the torch,
Dude, he's pretty like right. His
should.
content is fun. Like he's funny. We played him in that Brewers game. Xander Bogaerts another hit.
Oh yeah,
another single.
He's got like videos of him like rage quitting in games of Madden and stuff that are like hilarious.
Right. He's just funny. It's just like everything he touches turns to gold. I mean, you're working the Olympics for NBC. Like what? Again, he's like he's just media gold.
Well, I don't
That's
know
what
if
he
he's doing the Kevin Hart thing this year because I think they replaced him with Keenan Thompson from SNL.
Gotcha. Well, Olympics start Friday. It's actually underway. Like some of these events have started, but the opening ceremonies are Friday. We've got coverage right here. San Diego Sports 760 iHeartRadio app of the 2024 Paris Olympics. You know what you buried that wasn't in back page? 2034 Olympics were awarded today. Where? Salt Lake City.
Oh, okay, great.
2034 Olympics. 2030 Olympics were awarded today. Where?
Reseda.
Where's that?
North.
2030 is French Alps.
But didn't France just get one?
I don't know. No, Beijing had summer and winter within
No, that's
6 years.
true.
I don't know what to tell you there.
Okay. Tonight, again, join us on YouTube. We will have a wrap-up show for you. Padres and Nats. Xander Bogaerts, a 4-hit game?
4-hit game.
I cannot wait to talk about it for an hour with you. On the wrap-up
So
show.
he has 15 hits since returning from the IL.
15 for what? 15 for 29?
Yes. And they're all singles.
It's better than 1 for 29.
Honestly,
with a home run.
That is wildly
Almost
impressive.
It's almost hard to
do that.
It's hard to do it for anyone in baseball. All right. If you missed anything today, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Spotify. Please leave a review if you're listening to the podcast. Find us on social at Jon and Jim, JONANDJIM. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. We're back tomorrow. Keep it here at San Diego Sports 760. Okay.
Okay, bye.